In the E-Class Mercedes, they never think about those things.
Sterling. Every damn night. Sunday through Friday nights at 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
What's one of your favorite memories?
That's a tough question. Well, there was this one time I went camping with my parents in a forest back when I was maybe like 8 or 9. And I can remember one night we were laying out in our hammocks and we were just, watching the trees rustling in the wind above us, and we could hear the sounds of the forest all around us. Frogs singing and owls calling and the creek running nearby. It was amazing. It felt like we were a part of it all. I don't know if I do it justice trying to describe it, but I'll definitely never forget it.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
You are not your diagnosis.
A medical chart is not your identity.
And vision loss does not define you.
Your drive shows who you are.
And you are not alone.
Because we are driven too.
To be a beacon of strength.
A champion of courage.
An advocate for hope.
You are not alone.
Because we are stronger together.
We drive the research for the cures we are finding.
We're fighting macular degeneration,
retinitis pigmentosa,
Usher syndrome,
and the entire spectrum of blinding retinal diseases.
We fund.
We fight.
We win.
We
are the foundation fighting blindness.
Together, we are fighting blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
All right, it is Dom time. Welcome in, everyone. Hard to choose the biggest story of the day. I do want to get to this house in Levittown. The last time it came up, people were just trying to poo-poo it, that I point the finger at inflation and how hard this is on American couples trying to get into a home, trying to do things. And I pointed back to Biden, and I pointed back to the misery he's caused. How is a home $720,000 in Levittown? Amenities. The average now is around $450,000, according to the Bucks County Courier-Times, or it's in that range. J.D. Mullane says, in talking to real estate people there, that most of the people that live in Levittown now, and if you're new to this, Levittown is misty-eyed. It is the American dream. I have a list of what you got when you got one of those Levittown homes. I bet we have people listening. If you are one, call me if you moved into one or over the years. Maybe your parents did. 855-839-1210. Mullane says a couple seeking their first house now in Levittown would need an annual income of approximately $120,000 to afford a typically priced Levitt-built house, which today costs between $350,000 to $450,000. An average Levittown house that needed kitchen and bath updates now hits the market, though, in that range, even that you would need updates. This is great reporting. J.D. Mullane's always my favorite. He says the median annual household income in Levittown, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, is $97,750. That means the average Levittown homeowner could not qualify for a mortgage to buy into their own neighborhood. Now, is it out of line to say this is just another example, and it's graphic because everybody knows Levittown? Oh, well, you're dismissing. You're not taking a look at this, that, and the other. I'm reading about this $720,000 home, and I don't deny it probably has amenities and all that. But it's inflation again. And inflation is a symptom of the government printing too much money, spending too much money, taxing too much. It's a symptom of what Biden has done, this miserable guy in a miserable family, and what he continues to do. So late yesterday, I think it was late yesterday, Biden releases double figures. It's unclear whether it's 10 or 11. Of these figures at Gitmo to go back to the Middle East, Oman, and start their lives over again. Like they're not going to return to the battlefield. I take great pride that we did the first radio broadcast out of Gitmo. Took a lot of connections, a lot of hardship getting the whole thing. The Lucky Airlines, you fly in from Jacksonville, they told you, hey, please don't get up during the flight. You know, the plane tips one way or another. Lucky Airlines. I'm thinking, oh, man, the return trip on that, let me off. It's not that far, but still. And there I eyeball these guys, these animals who murdered us. And Biden suddenly, or in his cabinet, they said, what the hell? Why not release all of them? Why not release the so-called mastermind? Why not release every prisoner that Biden can get his hands on? This really calls for people of urgency to help the country to rein in presidential powers on these kinds of things once the president is in end days, doesn't it? I know it would take a lot because you got pressing matters. But, my God, Gitmo again, the worst of the worst. First, they ought to be executed. That's what should have happened. Rather than all these delays and all these I remember interviewing the lawyer who tried to tell me his guy, he was representing one of these guys, he really wasn't bin Laden's driver. Bin Laden happened to be around and needed a ride, and this guy was a skilled driver. That's how he became the chauffeur to bin Laden. Come on. So Biden strikes again. Gitmo now. Back to the Levittown thing, though. 855-839-1210. I do want to talk about that with you today. What is that a symptom of? And they talk, JD does, market-shattering records, frustrating would-be buyers. If it were just Levittown, look, Levittown's the face of it because it's famous. What you got when you moved into Levittown was, let's see, I have a list here somewhere. Let's see. A Levittown-built rancher, the least expensive, sold for $89.90 in 1953. At that time, that was less than half the price for a typical new home, and it had more amenities. A 30-year mortgage was $59 a month, including property taxes and insurance. For that, a newlywed couple received 900 square feet of first-floor living space with an unfinished second floor, radiant heat, thermopane windows, and a kitchen outfitted with metal, white, pink, or blue Tracy cabinets with matching General Electric appliances.
Ooh, pink cabinets.
Well, the General Electric appliances, this was the, Ronald Reagan was doing the commercials.
GE appliances? Are you kidding me?
The GE appliances were the kitchen and the home of the future, the smart home. You know, you hit a button and, everything happens. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank God Dan's past this now, happily in the home.
You know, I just found out recently that GE, I guess, did this.
Right.
They had the dishwashers that you had to roll out and plug into the sink.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my grandma had one, and I found it out. And because my mom's like, oh, could you imagine having to roll out the dishwasher to plug? I'm like, what? She's like,
Well,
yeah, like
imagine
Grammy's old one.
Didn't your moms do the dishes at one point? Was she
Yeah.
past that? Sure.
Well,
Wash the
it ended
dishes.
up becoming such a pain to roll out the dishwasher and plug it in that she just ended up filling it and using it for storage. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Kind of like treadmills.
Never got
Yeah.
to see it in use.
All right, so 855-839-1210. Love to get to you. What is this a symptom of? You guys are always attacking Biden. You're always attacking but no, that's one of the largest elements of this. There's no way it ought to be this inflated. Is there gold in Levittown? I mean, these are good neighborhoods, all-American neighborhoods. But look at this again. Every year this happens, and in this case, $720,000. This 1958 country clubber along Fountain Road in the Forsacia gate section of Middletown, says J.T. Mullane. All right. Biden striking at all this stuff. All right. President Trump is holding a news conference. He's taking questions from reporters today. He said a number of things that are interesting about Canada, about energy, and about Wayne Gretzky, still back to Gretzky, wanting to be the president or the prime minister of Canada. The biggest story out there today, though, and we'll play you a lot of sound of this, Zuckerberg, and he doesn't sound, his voice is much more powerful than I remember, and he looks kind of bulked up. I know he's been doing various things, so here's a little taste. Here is Mark Zuckerberg talking about this transition for Facebook. And I always thought Twitter was worse than Facebook and what they did during COVID, et cetera. But listen to the first part. They're going to go with community standards, not the fact checkers. Cut one.
The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
All right, so community notes system. Now, I know the downsides of this, several in the so-called legacy media going after that. It takes you forever. Misinformation, all that stuff will be out there. Instantaneously, with what Zuckerberg said today and what he's doing, more importantly, I saw a multitude of these legacy media types telling us, well, that used to be the job of the legacy media. They determined. They knew how to stop people that were crackpots hiding from under the First Amendment, did they? So were we better off, even with the abuses of social media, the internet, the downsides of that, talk radio, Fox News Channel, when we just had CBS, ABC, and NBC? Bernie Goldberg exposed that way back when. It's got to be 25 years, 20 years ago, talking about his tenure at CBS. What I've seen is sometimes they don't even intentionally censor. They just have a worldview. They're on a bubble, the same worldview, where what I think is a great story that we want to talk about or that people should know about, they go forward and don't talk about it. They don't think it's anything that people need to know. Not because they're intentionally saying we're liberals. It's just kind of a worldview. I'll give you a case in point of something that's happened today. It's going to be fun to see how you react. Dawn Fantasia is one of our favorites, the assemblywoman from Sussex County. And I saw her last week. She happened to be on family vacation. We couldn't get her. She had a lot to say, or a good bit to say then, about what we talked about yesterday, this New Jersey law just signed that will now say that teachers don't have to take a basic skill test, reading, writing, and math. And we kind of mocked it, and rightfully so. Now, Dawn is a former teacher. Her argument is that these tests were overkill. In other words, you already had to take a bunch of these tests. And I'm not still sure if I'm in full agreement with her, but I'm getting there. She's a very reliable source. So did I say, no, we're not going to put Dawn on because people that are conservative would rather believe you don't have to read in Jersey. But she also says that teacher evaluations have been dumbed down. So if you can get somebody in there, the NGA has made it that they're not going to be evaluated properly. She'll be here at 1 o'clock today. And hopefully this is an exhibit of something that was misreported, or we jumped on this. And it's a little bit more complicated than that. She's an unimpeachable source to me until proven otherwise. Now, with the media, though, with ABC, NBC, CBS, you're not going to get that. All right, so we'll give you a little bit more of Zuckerberg. So he talks about these new principles. Principle number 1, no fact checkers, community standards. We know the downside of the community standards. Here's his second point.
Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms.
All right, there you go. Those are 2 really good examples. I don't know if he said COVID somewhere else in here, but I would have thrown that one in. Isn't that the principal one? Now, what's the downside of this? There might be somebody listening. Well, there's plenty of downside to misinformation, disinformation. Okay, tell me what it is. Well, you're going to have people believing X, Y, or Z. Tell me what something dangerous is. Isn't the best way to do that? It's out there, but there are plenty of other sources to challenge it. There's plenty of other things to challenge along those lines. Should we just get rid of this then? Let it not see the light of day? I mean, I despise Alex Jones. I'll just say it straight up. I despise him. What he did with those families in Connecticut, what he put them through, he deserves everything he gets for that. But I don't think Alex Jones should be censored. I mean, that is there were specific laws. He shouldn't be shut down. If you want to hear what Alex Jones says versus me, you ought to be able to hear it. And then we'll let you make a determination. Is there a downside? Yeah, we know what the downside is to it. But the upside, freedom of speech, is worth it. All right, whatever the trouble is that's created by this, the downside of attacking freedom of speech is a lot worse. All right, 855-839-1210. Side question today. On Friday, Henry and I were in agreement, and I was on pins and needles because I didn't know what Ray Dininger would say about allowing individual effort, in this case, Saquon Barkley, to be rewarded by going after the record. And I still stand by that. Ray proceeded to slur Eric Dickerson, essentially. You wouldn't know Eric Dickerson anyhow. You know, we've had other people saying, he was a great running back. But he's not a household name. Okay. And I just said how disappointed I was. You know, just like Michael in Godfather 2 about Fredo, about your heart being broken, okay? So we want to know somebody or something, you know, it's all in the call, that really disappointed you, if not broke your heart. Ray Dininger was an example. That's one I had personal experience
Can't believe Ray Diddy is someone that can break your heart, Dom.
Yeah, well, he's the epitome of ruling on something like this, you know, so I can't tell you how disappointed I was in him that he even swayed Henry. All right, so Christie would be my nominee because back in the day, I had him on 7 times. I'll never forget it. It was like a festival. He was that hot with conservatives when he took over as governor. And then we got into it, and I saw in the middle of it he would never come back. I knew it as we're going through it. He's a bully. It was over the Obama thing. What exactly did I say? Then we saw a lot more. And now we are where Christie is today. I wonder if there's anybody out there that will say, hey, we should take it off the board, Springsteen, because a lot of people have told me, well, you know, back in the day, it was new, it was different, it was refreshing. And look at where we are with Springsteen now. Could you still continue the subterfuge of idolizing this guy? You can't. So you got to pretend like he didn't break your heart. Well, you didn't have any heart if it's not broken with something like this. All right, Dan, why don't you go first?
Oh, Dom, I got one. That's a big heartbreak for me. It was a slow heartbreak and probably later than most heartbreak. But how about Howard Stern, Dom? And I have a specific moment that my heart was broken. It's, he really kind of went downhill after Artie. Well, you can ask some people, they'll say when he went to Sirius is when he jumped the shark. When Artie left, he jumped the shark. But I interned in late 2012, and I still loved the show at that time. He had a lot of fun with Eric, the midget, and some others, and Ronnie. And then 2013, I get off my internship, and then a video of a recent meeting leaks after I had left my internship where Howard really just proves how out of touch he really is to his staffers. And at that moment, I had known that his person that he brought in after I had left, Marcy Turk, well, not because of me, I was just an intern, but Marcy Turk came in right as I was leaving, really drove his show into that out of touch realm. So 12 years ago in 2013, that meeting comes out. My heart's broken. I'm proven that Howard Stern will never be the same. And sadly, I was proven right.
All right. Henry, do you have one?
Yeah. So this question was inspired by Philly sports, so I'm going to keep it in that same vein. I think the definition of heartbreak was the 2019 NBA Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 7 between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors, where, if you remember, Kawhi Leonard hit a shot from the corner, falling away, hit the rim about, 10 billion times before going down, and just completely shattered the hearts of Sixers fans across the Delaware Valley. And to this day, I don't know if they've had a better shot than they did that year. I mean, they've lost 3 of 4 right now. They look dysfunctional. And looking back on that, I mean, in the moment, it's complete heartbreak. And then given what's happened in the 5-6+ years since now, just breaks my heart. It really does.
All right. So somebody I was looking at in terms of you really idolize them and they let you down, but you could take it the way that Henry did. Tell the story. Go down that route. Somebody who broke your heart. At least
Kawhi Leonard broke my heart.
Okay. Really, really disappointed you. Is what I was, and Christie was good when Dan with Stern, Andor, Springsteen is another one. Could be political, it could be an athlete, could be anybody. Not personal, we don't know them. We have to know them. All right, 855-839-1210. We'll play you a little bit more of President Trump, and I have a little bit more of Zuckerberg. Now, Zuckerberg does have an antitrust case coming up in April with the government. But I think his motivation more is to be in tune with, after all, Facebook is kind of the meeting spot, the town council. And that town council is riding high with Trump at this point. I'll prove it to you coming up. We have some of the results from the election that are historic for a Republican. You'll hear NBC break it down. They can hardly believe it. That's all straight ahead on Talk Radio 1210.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dawn Stensland here. My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles feature the latest luxury vehicles from today's top brands. Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, Land Rover, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and more. Sleek new designs and innovative features with thousands of new and certified pre-owned vehicles available across Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. Piazza Premium Automobiles stands out. Visit PiazzaPremiumAutos.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V.
All right, Tom Giordano's show. Welcome in. Widespread agreement, except with the people who run schools. I'm looking at Crossing Broad. Dan, do you know pronunciation? Is it Kevin Kincaid? It's spelled differently.
Yeah, no, it's Kincaid.
It is Kincaid. Yeah, Kevin is a good guy and thoughtful and has written nice stuff at times. He's got a great piece up that he had to stay home with his 5-year-old yesterday. Well, he was at home because of the snow. 90 minutes on Chrome, getting ready their activities of the day. I think it's a Boyertown School District. 5. Guy writing, his name is Pearson, in the Enquirer today. For once, I agree with him, the Enquirer. I sent him a note attacking the very same thing and saying, what are these people thinking of? Because they have this new toy. Oh, well, now let's look at this. This new toy of Zoom, of remote learning that never worked. But you know what it is? My column's going to be about this. It's the latest brand of fraud. You're frauds. It allows you to check a box and say you're learning that day. We're counting that day. It's all about counting. We're going to get to 180 no matter what you say. Isn't it fraudulent? Come on. Now, in extraordinary circumstances. Plus, you know what it does? It allows them, during COVID, more fraud to keep the schools closed and say, well, we have remote learning. This is such a relic from a failed program now being used to take away one of the joys of childhood, a snow day. And the guy writing in the Enquirer today talks about that magic moment when people would listen to the radio. It was Harry Donahue. I don't know who it was before Harry Donahue, saying all Philadelphia public and parochial schools will be closed today. At other times, after that, I think they gave the numbers of the ones that were closed. And you had a school number, and you had it somewhere safe. And when they said that magic number, school will be closed. That's the way that it is.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Best feeling.
Yeah, best feeling imaginable, and they've taken that away. Who is it that is running this? Are they all goaded into it? Well, come on, Dom, you don't understand.
Well, Kevin makes a great point in his story, too, because he has a 5-year-old now.
Right.
He didn't have a 5-year-old
Right.
during COVID. He didn't recognize how bad it was
Right.
during COVID. He says BS lingering COVID development that should go back to 2020 and stay there forever, which I completely agree with. But he's essentially saying he has a non-essential job. He writes blogs. Right. She's a 5-year-old. You can't expect a 5-year-old to know how to navigate a laptop. Mm-hmm. So he has to take 90 minutes out of his day to essentially walk his daughter through these steps.
What do other parents do?
What do other parents do?
Right.
Essential parents do. There's nothing they can do.
Again, this has to be called out. It has to be stopped. Now, fraudulent enterprises like the Philadelphia Public Schools, they're a complete fraud up and down the line. It can come on, bring the superintendent in. Up and down the line, they're fraudulent. In that they don't work. They're never going to work. We know it. They can't even keep supply. They can't even keep anything straight. And they're going to do remote learning. So they only put in one school, a snow day. What's the reason for that? They want to show they're emphasizing learning. Really? You think they are? Okay. Catholic schools. Now, I got a note. It wasn't nasty from an archdiocesan teacher, and he said they were not on remote learning yesterday. It was something about doing assignments. Well, why even that? And what do you do if you build in 2 or 3 snow days and you exceed them? Well, you add 5 minutes to the end of the day or 10, whatever it is. That's what they did. Or worst case, you add a day to the school year. That's what's
What
done.
a dumb solution. I apologize, but they're adding the 10 minutes to the end of the day.
Yes.
Like, because kids are just going to sit, like what it becomes is teachers like, oh, well, we have this extra 10 minutes, so we got to just wait the 10 minutes before we're able to release you. So,
well, you have to have a metric. You have to have a count of something. And they've reached 180 days because if you don't, they will do anything. They might have 20 days of Philadelphia public schools. What difference would it make? So that's why you got to calculate it.
I've always been curious. Are you a guy in favor of year-round schooling?
No.
Like
I'm the biggest enemy of that. It is one of the worst ideas. Sherelle Parker wants to get that. I will fight that to the death. It's for the bad kids. Send the bad kids to summer school. Keep them in school. Them and their parents who don't want to do anything. Why would you take summer away from the good kids?
Because fall's a better season.
Well,
whoa.
No, summertime in the living is easy. So, no, I am against year-round schooling. It's just another made-up, fraudulent thing. Thank you. That's another 300 words in the column. It's all this stuff versus the core problem. You have people that don't want to learn that are in schools, and their parents are not going to do anything about it, and they make it bad for everybody else, and you got to figure out a way to deal with them, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But stop papering it over and pretending to do remote learning. The anticipation of having a snow day off and having a snow day off, that's a part of childhood. It definitely is. And I don't care if Vivek Ramaswamy is going to write that the next time he writes about sleepovers. You know, in India, they wouldn't have a day off with snow. Well, I don't think there's too much snow.
Did they write about sleepovers?
Oh, yeah. He attacked the American, too much of an emphasis on sleepovers.
Oh, no.
Not enough on...
Was that while I was gone? That's upsetting.
Not enough on the Olympiad math students. Stop it already. Stop trying to destroy childhood, okay? We got enough bright people in America. We don't need you and Elon Musk sending a bunch of people in here that you don't want to pay money to.
I don't think we have enough sleepovers anymore, to be quite honest.
Well,
kids just want to go home and play video games and not spend time with each other in person.
That's true. The sleepover is fine. That's what he picked on. Kevin, nice column, though. So the question is, if people feel that way, why are we letting them do this then? Why are they doing this on school boards and others? Who gave the order in Boyertown or the Catholic schools? Who gave the order? Now, Beth Ann Rossica is next. I'll ask her about this, but she's got a great piece today at Broad and Liberty about the fact that even though the Biden administration has backed away recently on shoving males into female sports, Pennsylvania is still there. And I believe this is the single best thing that Republicans can go at with Josh Shapiro. Can they focus and use this to take him out for 2028? All that straight ahead here on Talk Radio 1210.
Weather is sponsored by Meineke.
An Arctic air mass will remain in place for the next several days. It'll be partly sunny and windy. Watch out for some blowing and drifting of snow. High up around 33, but wind chill values down into the single digits. It stays windy tonight, mostly clear, low 22 for the city, but feeling colder with the wind. And for Wednesday, partly sunny, still very cold, with a high 33.
When you step on your brakes, do you hear a squeal or a grinding noise? Don't wait. Take your car to your locally owned and operated Meineke, and their expert technicians will diagnose the problem. Find a location near you at Meineke.com.
This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Are you ready for retirement? Have you prepared everything you need? Well, in Investor Schooling, we will teach you ways to better prepare for your retirement using real estate and the stock market. But you need to learn how to do it right, and that's what we teach. At Investor Schooling, we sell nothing but education. Come to Investor Schooling and learn how to have a better retirement. Go to investorschooling.com and RSVP right now for this Thursday's class at 7 o'clock. Go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad. Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's hear this tiger purr, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 10% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Saving for retirement is one thing. Making your money last? For that, you may need some help. Listen to Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sundays at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
All right, it is Dom time. Coming to your calls. Something that really disappointed you. It's the type of thing of just the Stern thing with Dan. I mean, if I had worked with Stern, someone like that, it's got to be very, very difficult to see that. Beth Ann Rossica is our go-to. Broad and Liberty is where this appears, and often her stuff appears there. We'll tell you where to find her, too, particularly on education matters. Interesting angle I don't see anybody talking about. Beth Ann contends, despite a federal reversal, Pennsylvania continues to allow boys to compete against girls in sports. Her contention, the Biden administration quietly abandoned its plan to force school districts to allow boys to compete against girls in sports. Now, that was the big dodge. That's what they said. Well, we had to do it. It's a law. We don't want to be fined. We don't want to do this, that, or the other. And in my mind, and I think she probably shares it, this is the ultimate way to really flesh out what Josh Shapiro is all about. Beth Ann has in here a tweet he put out, August 11, 2020, trans women are women, pass it on. All right, let's go to Beth Ann Ross. Happy New Year, Beth Ann. Thanks for joining us.
Always great to be here, Dom. Thank you so much.
So that's your contention, right, that you read the Biden administration giving this up, and certainly the Trump administration coming in. You can't hide behind we're afraid of what they'll do to us if we don't do this.
Absolutely, Dom. And I actually think that Pennsylvania passed these regulations back in 2023 before the Biden administration had even proposed the issue of boys competing in girls' sports. But I think that they wanted to get ahead of the curve. They wanted to make a stand, a progressive stand, that boys should be able to compete against girls. And the governor has sanctioned this happening in our state. And you're absolutely correct. Now, school districts are required to follow these ridiculous rules because the state of Pennsylvania has issued these regulations. So it really is very, very problematic. And I don't think that people understand that these regulations that were changed in 2023 in Pennsylvania, they didn't even go through the legislature. Nobody voted to change the definition of sex to include gender identity. It happened through an agency, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission unilaterally made this change, which I believe is unconstitutional.
Yeah, I know Chad Lassiter well. We've debated sort of, but it shocked me that he would go this wild on this. It's kind of out of character unless I'm misreading him. You say when he did this, by changing the definition of the word sex, they're endangering girls both on the field and in private spaces like girls' bathrooms, etc. Now, Beth Ann, just a point here. I'm not a fan of emphasizing the safety aspect. I think the winner is the fairness aspect, that they can't compete, that this is just completely unfair. It kind of gets into women and a competitive workplace and all that in the future, and this is an example of unfairness.
No, I agree, Dom, that the sports issue is the winning issue. I mean, this has been polled. 75 to 80% of Americans don't think that boys should compete against girls in sports. It's obvious. I mean, I don't even know why we have to have conversations about it. In my article, I point out the PIAA, the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association, which is the group that regulates secondary sports in the state of Pennsylvania, their bylaws clearly state that there are real physical and competitive differences between boys and girls, and allowing boys to compete against girls would have a chilling effect on female participation. So even the PIAA recognizes that there are huge physical advantages that boys have over girls. Yet, what the PIAA did in their bylaws was they only use the term boys and girls, but they say that if a student's gender is questioned or uncertain, then the principal of that school gets to decide where that child gets to compete, whether they get to, compete with the boys or with the girls, which again is ludicrous that some random principal gets to say, okay, this boy gets to, compete against girls. It's the most asinine thing I've ever seen. But to your point, most people think that this is all idiotic and nonsensical that we're even having this conversation. But I do want to...
Beth Ann? Uh-oh. Josh Shapiro on the line there, reading her out. All right, we'll go back to Beth Ann. Let's see if we can reestablish contact. When she was mentioning that about that line, all I could think of was Dr. Oz saying, yeah, the abortion should be decided by the women, their doctors, and local politicians. That line was going through my head. So, Beth Ann, cut off a little bit here. Let's bring it up now as this moves forward. What's your sense? Can they get this women's fairness bill passed through the House? It'll pass through the Senate. Josh Shapiro says if it ever reaches his desk, at least in the past, he will veto it. I would tell you, if he vetoes it, that's it for 2028. Right there, this is going to be a big national story that I don't think he can weasel out of based upon where America is now. Can they get it passed?
I honestly don't think they're going to be able to get it passed. I think he will veto it. I think that he has too much history in posting and being very loud about this issue. And I think that he'll veto it. I really do. Or he'll work behind the scenes to make sure that it doesn't get to his desk. And that may be the more palatable tract for him to get this to not come to his desk.
Well, the only way that would happen is if Democrats don't bring it up in the House, because it's going to happen in the Senate, right? So what
Correct.
would their excuse be? And their excuse is, hey, the media is on our side. Nobody's going to say anything, I guess.
Right. Well, and I think so. I think that the Democrats will just support Shapiro on this issue. I mean, Democrats, even though there are some Democrats who are starting to speak up and out about this issue, it's still very much of a Democratic talking point that, they don't support banning these kids from competing against girls. So I don't think that the bill will get passed, which is why I think that we're probably going to need either a Supreme Court ruling that says that you cannot expand the term sex, the definition of sex, to include gender identity, or we're going to need a lawsuit here in Pennsylvania because, once again, as I said in the article, I think that it's unconstitutional that the PHRC passed these rules quietly without even having to go through the legislature. I mean, this is a big deal. Changing the definition of the word sex. From the beginning of time, sex has meant one thing. And now all of a sudden in 2023, some state agency can indiscriminately say, no, that's not the case anymore. This is what sex means now.
Who would have thunk it? Chad Lassiter, call your office. Beth Ann, thank you. Where do we find this article and where do we find you?
Yes, thanks so much, Dom. So if you go to broadandliberty.com, spelled just like I said, broadandliberty.com, and put in my last name, Rosica, Rosica, all of my articles will come up, and this is my most recent one. And I appreciate, as always, having the opportunity to be on the show with you guys.
Thank you, Beth Ann. Thank you very much.
All right, take care, Dom. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right, there is the Moms for Liberty. I haven't forgotten about that. Their lawsuit, which won that if you're a member and you object in your local school board, then they have to follow the ruling as it stands now. So who is it out there that wants to continue this? Who wants to do this on, well, maybe the same people? I'd love to ask these local school boards, though. Are they in favor of their school district not having snow days or a snow day? Is that what they want them to be doing? Yeah, we're all about education here. No, you're not. No, you're not. Not even a little bit, if that's your attitude. You're not about it. You're not about the welfare of anything here. You're cowed by having this ability now. Maybe there are some parents. Tell them to stay home with their kid and be on Zoom all day long if they're 5 and play Suzuki violin while they're at it. That's fine. Let the other people live a normal life. Don't burden them with this. I wonder what the penalty for the 5-year-old that Kevin Kincaid writes about in Crossing Broad would be if they didn't figure it out and do their Zoom lesson yesterday. No Play-Doh the next day? I mean, what would the penalty be? You know, the kid gets put in the back of the room or something? All right, 855-839-1210. Get in on the side question, too, which is somebody who broke your heart in the sense of, or something, disappointment around it. It just occurred to me, Ray Dininger. Kidding. I mean, Ray Dininger's the all-time great. I was just surprised, though. Usually when I'm that dead set on this, he did turn Henry around, though, right, Henry? I mean, it seems like by running down Eric Dickerson, he turned you around.
Yeah, no, that's all it took, honestly. I mean, I still wanted him to break the record, but he got me on his side.
Well, he's as credible as anybody. Greatest guy. I mean, he's
to his point, though. I mean, how many, when you talk about the best ever, does Eric Dickerson come up in conversation often? I don't think so.
No.
So,
well,
exactly. So,
what's
the
but
point?
The reason is, though, that we have people that get records by longevity. I'd have to look at Dickerson and see if it's that.
That's a season.
But Saquon Barkley, though, at least what he'll do with the Eagles now, I know it's a little bit late in his career. He is a guy of that pedigree. He is a guy that great. He just happened to be on a horrible team.
But I mean, playing Monday morning quarterback, though, after seeing what happened with Christian Watson, Zay Flowers, I'm kind of glad we didn't, have that opportunity to get him injured.
Well,
the starting wide receiver for the Packers is now out.
I hate that thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you play, I can't get hurt, you're going to get hurt.
Well, a guy that's been, fantasy well, Henry and Dom. I mean, he's been injured season after season. He's been able to avoid that largely this season. So why are we going to, play our chances?
Well, this is making sports I see sports as differently. We live for the moment. Something great like this comes along, you go for it. It's not just about percentages, more percentage to win the Super Bowl or not. All right, 855.
To win the Super Bowl. That's
the ultimate goal. That's not the way I look at it, though. I look at other things.
Well, you value a Week 18 win over more than a Super Bowl?
Well, just by talking about it, though. Meaningless game. No game is meaningless. See, that's the problem. It's the game that I love, not, Well, Dan, you missed a whole riff we went through about kids and playoffs. Oh, it's the playoffs now. Oh, my God. It's a game. You show up, you love the game. All the stuff that's backdrop and all. This is little kid stuff. They should have let him play. All right, 855-839-1210. You get in on the side question. And Levittown, $720,000 home. Is this another example of Biden and inflation? I think it is. J.D. Moe makes the point in Levittown. Those that now are there, the median income is about $97,000 family income. They could not afford by $23,000 a mortgage in Levittown where they live. There's something wrong in America with that. And I hope Trump talks about that and drills down a little bit more about getting couples, say, that are 25 to 35 or whatever, into their first home. I'd do anything if I were in that position to make that happen. That's America. That's the American dream, not what Joe Biden did. 855-839-1210.
Join us Monday, January 20th, starting at 6 a.m. with Kale and Company at the Newtown Athletic Club for the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. Don Stensland will be there live from 10 a.m. to noon and Dom Giordano from 12 to 3 p.m. The Newtown Athletic Club is one of the top lifestyle clubs and health and wellness centers globally. Visit newtownathletic.com. You can't be at the inauguration, but you can be with fellow Patriots. Monday, January 20th, starting at 6 a.m. at the Newtown Athletic Club. Live on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
With a new administration bringing optimism back into the nation, it's more important now than ever before to become crash-proof.
Anthony Torelli, Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania. If President Trump can do what he did in his previous term as president and get the economy booming again, then that would be great for crash-proof, and it'll be great for my family and my future. This year, our portfolio grew by 15.7%. If I had left my funds with my previous advisor, that money would have returned about 8 to 9%, and we outperformed my previous advisor 2 to 1. That's interest credit that we're not going to lose with no fees involved. I'm glad the market's up, and I hope it continues to go up. But at some point, the market's going to come down again, and I'm guaranteed not to lose anything. We can continue on this pathway to success with crash-proof retirement.
You don't have to choose between security and opportunity. Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at the Copperfield Inn on January 22nd. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Dreaming of a new bathroom?
Emmons Remodeling can turn your dreams into reality.
From modern shower or bath surround upgrades to complete remodels, our team of designers and remodeling construction experts deliver stunning results. We use high-quality materials to ensure that your bathroom will look great and last for years to come.
Call us today at 856-885-6677 or visit online at callemmons.com.
From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by the Labor and Energy Alliance this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that will affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world, protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention Medicaid patients.
If you're on Medicaid, how would you like if your caretaker was your daughter, your son, your grandchild, or your close friend? If you're on Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care, and that caregiver will get paid instantly after their shift. Yes, your caregiver will get paid instantly, and it's 100% free to you if you are on Medicaid. Call 267-692-3782 and ask Freedom Care how to get started with care today. No more worrying about getting care from an aide at an agency. Freedom Care helps you choose who you want to take care of you, and that person gets paid. Call Freedom Care at 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782 to get started today. You get a caregiver you know and trust, and they get paid instantly after their shift, and it's free to you. Start now by calling 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782, or go to freedomcare.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
It's Dom time. Dom Giordano. Weekdays, noon till 3 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
All right, it is Dom time. Welcome in. You got the side question, and I told you this Levittown story has intrigued me. Why is that? That Levittown has that level of inflation where the people living there now with their family income could not afford a mortgage pretty much anywhere there. And routinely, you could have a home selling $400,000 plus, even if it needs work. Is it just that valuable there? I don't think so. There's something afoot there. Let's go to Gary in Newtown. And Gary, you're on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Dom. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. To you and the rest of the guys there, too, of course. whether it's Levittown or Honolulu, and I use Honolulu as an example. Honolulu has all 5 military bases there, and the reason why the real estate there is so expensive is because you can't build, and because the military never stops increasing the stipend of food, of housing, of car allowance, of whatever, everything there just continually goes up.
Well,
So
no, wait a minute, Gary. No, wait a minute, Gary. They interviewed J.D. Mullane. Is thinking about that, and he asked the guy who's his guide, the real estate guy, could you find, I'll give you the exact thing here. He says, could you find this, affordable family home anywhere in Bucks County? And the guy says, no. We had 28 showings, a house she recently sold in North Park, Levittown, $450,000. We had 28 showings in just 5 days. That's how tight it is.
I'm not disagreeing you. I was trying to make an overall broader point. It all has to do with money supply. When the government is subsidized, and I've heard Earl talk about this in Northeast Philly, it's moved into Levittown, into the lower suburbs. And it's the Section 8 housing that's moving in because there are no greater developments for low-income housing in Philadelphia or anywhere for that matter. So this influx of people that continues to grow has got to go somewhere. Now, you've got these houses that were built in the late 50s that, if they weren't improved, are sold at that low end of $340,000, and you've got people like BlackRock that buy them up, and then they rent them back to the government for federal subsidy.
Oh, okay. I'm aware of that. Some of that is happening. So you want to put in something else here, too. It's not just inflation. You're saying BlackRock, too.
There's also money supply. We are $1 trillion in debt, in personal debt.
Mm-hmm.
$1 trillion. So you've got people that don't actually understand money. You deal with it all the time. You're probably one of the most frugal people I know vocally. But people really don't understand money. Okay, I can make that $128 minimum payment on my credit card. Let's go out to eat.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, Gary, in your spare time, how about having a phone conversation with Ro? Work her over a bit here, would you please?
next time I'm at an event, bring her on the 20th. I'll sit.
I mean, Dan's lucky. He's got Maisie with the green eye shade looking over his expenses each week. And, what is this you charge here? God. All right, Gary, who disappointed you?
I didn't vote for him, wouldn't have voted for him, but Barack Obama is really the biggest disappointment ever in my adult life. Here is the opportunity to have the first black president of the United States and basically take what I thought were good relationships then between our African and white community, and he actually made it the worst in my life.
That's a fair point. That's how he was elected, and yet he moved past it.
I just pulled up.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I do have real estate listings currently in Levittown. If you wanted to explain
go ahead.
Them. Currently looking at the cheapest I could find within the city limits of Levittown. Well, $100,000, you can buy some land and build on it, but you're not going to build for under $300,000, $400,000 with the cost of materials at this point. So there's one right near Indian Creek in Levittown for $310,000. That's one that is, it definitely needs a power wash on the outside. The roof looks like it needs to be replaced. The entire inside has not been updated since it was built, it looks like. If you're looking at the refurbed ones, cheapest one I can find, what's this one? Nope, that's... looks like recently refurbed, but about 10, 15 years ago, you're looking at $435,000. And a newly refinished one, you're at least into $480,000, $500,000.
And Dan, no offense, but if you tell me, Ro, $450,000 and I'm living in Levittown, and I'm not offending Levittown. I'm just saying, though, it's seen as middle class or, slightly right around there, and I'm paying $450,000. You think you'd be, I'll pick a place at Radnor or Tavistock or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, no, you've just gone through it.
I didn't implore, because we spent so much time looking for homes. I didn't implore anybody, whether it's Jersey, Philadelphia, Delaware, Pennsylvania. There are no homes that are standalone homes that have been refinished within the past 20 years. So standalone with a yard, refinished 20 years, under $400,000.
And is that due to, that's the world of today, or is it due to Biden policies, et cetera, have a large part? What he said about BlackRock is true. That's one of the things they're engaged in. And when are people going to stand up to that? All right, coming up, we're going to talk with Assemblywoman Dawn Fantasia And this is a real good experiment because I wanted to get her on. I thought she was adamantly against getting rid of this basic skills test. Then I read a long, she's very detailed Twitter post, and she's not. She thinks it was a scam, just charging you more money, the one that we talked about so much. But I'm still happy to have her. She's got a lot of other stuff, too, that we'll talk about. 855-839-1210.
Hey, 1210, thinking about selling your home in 2025? Well, it's not like it used to be. The market is shifting. Today's buyers are pickier than ever. They want move-in ready homes with modern features. So how do you stand out without breaking the bank? Diane Cardano here from the Cardano Realtors, and I'm hosting a free breakfast event for future home sellers. Learn how to navigate this uncertain housing market with rising inventory, fluctuating interest rates, and fast-moving technology. Also, learn my low-cost staging techniques that meet today's buyers' demands. Join me and special guest Dom Giordano for my breakfast seminar on Saturday morning, February 1st at the Hilton Garden Inn in Fort Washington, and receive a signed copy of my new book, Model Home Mindset. Get ahead of the competition, come to my breakfast seminar, and sell your home fast. Diane says RSVP now. Call 215-576-8666 or visit 215-576-8666.com.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
The election is over and a new pro-business administration is about to begin. At Swish Funding, we're ready to help America's small businesses thrive in 25. Whether it's for cash flow, expansion, or new equipment, Swish Funding has flexible funding options from $25,000 up to $2 million. You could get a decision in minutes and cash in your account in as little as 24 hours, with rates as low as 8%. To qualify, be in business at least 1 year, with monthly revenue of at least $50,000. Apply today at swishfunding.com. SWISH funding.com.
This new year, get started on your next success with University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply by February 12th and get your application fee waived. An accredited state university, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes, along with more than 135 degrees and certificates in in-demand fields like business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. Gain the skills and credentials you need to achieve your career goals. Get your application fee waived through February 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
On Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
All right, it is Dom time. You know, I hate talk radio where we just all agree all the time, particularly if it's people that we really like and have a lot of credibility, like Ray Dininger the other day about Saquon Barkley. You know, we can't all be in unison, but we had a bit of frothing at the mouth here, and the reason is because I think the system's fraudulent top to bottom. In Jersey, it made national news headline, New Jersey teachers skip literacy tests to combat shortage. That's the way it was being billed. In other words, Murphy and others passed Act 1669. This act removes the requirement for prospective teachers to pass the Praxis Core Test, which assesses basic skills in reading, writing, and math. And Dan threw a few questions at me yesterday. Elon Musk jumped in on this and said, yeah, so teachers don't need to know how to read in New Jersey. Seems that would make it challenging to teach kids how to read. Oh, man. And Dawn Fantasia took to Twitter to set the record straight, but added several things that are interesting. We first talked with Dawn about bears in Sussex County and some of the stuff going on with bird feeders. But we also talked with her about drones. And I'm going to get an update. As predicted, no one cares about the drones anymore, even though I think they're still apparent. So let's go to Dawn here on Talk Radio 1210. Dawn, Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us as always.
Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'll admit I bought into it at first glance because I thought that's what the NJEA and what New Jersey would do, and certainly Phil Murphy. You got a teacher shortage. I'm not a fan of Jim Beach over here in Camden County. So when I heard he was involved in it, I thought, oh, yeah, let's dumb it down more. You tell us, though, teachers already, those that are going to get their full-fledged, and you went through it as a teacher, Dawn, I believe, would have to prove they can read, math, and write. And you had a 12 out of 12 for the record on the writing.
Correct. This whole debacle could have been easily avoided had the governor, had the bill sponsors, had the Democrat majority, hell, had even the NJEA stood up and led with, we are eliminating a duplicate test, and went in that direction. Instead, there's radio silence out of that camp, which infuriates me. I can't help but think they feel the public doesn't need any kind of explanation. All of these headlines are flying around, and they're extraordinarily misleading. And the teachers, honestly, in the state of New Jersey, have been made to look like the village idiots across the 50 states now. So, again, to set the record straight, praxis tests are not eliminated in New Jersey at all. Praxis is a very, very large collection of tests. And I put up an example on social media. So, for example, to teach grades kindergarten through sixth grade, every teacher has to pass a test in English, in math, in social studies, and in science. If you want to teach at the middle school level, you have to take an additional test in whatever specialized content. Mine was English, so I took 5 tests in order to be certified. If we flashed forward to 2015, because I got my certification back in 2008, if we flashed forward to 2015, I would have had to pay another $90 a piece to take another test in reading, another test in math, and another writing test. So that is what they are eliminating because it was costly, it was duplicative, and it honestly causes time. So when they say it helps us get teachers moving along quicker, there's now not an extra financial barrier, and there's not an extra time barrier for them to schedule these duplicate tests to go and take. Instead, they lead with the headline, no more basic skills tests, instead of saying because the teachers are already taking a multitude of more difficult tests.
Right.
They left that part out conveniently.
Jazz, not understandable. And Dawn, my first instinct too, I'll admit it, I just never see these people cutting out any thing that's necessary. They overregulate all the time, to your point. So why would they be cutting this out unless they're trying to squeeze people through that are unqualified? You're right, clarifying this, and that's exactly what you did on Twitter is the way to go. But you also then took a moment to talk about the NJEA and teachers getting evaluated. Now, you and I both share this. We've both been teachers. And sometimes these evaluations are brutal. There was one guy that evaluated in one school district in Jersey I was in, Dawn, who would take out a tape measure and be measuring the space between desks row by row while you're teaching. Yeah. So, or, they would never come in the middle of the day. They'd always come in first period cold or last period of the day. This guy was notorious for that, because he's going to make it as difficult as possible. So what are they doing with evaluation that you think is suspect?
Well, this is extraordinarily suspect. To be honest, I don't think it's suspect. I know it's suspect. First of all, Teach NJ and Achieve NJ, Christie-era reforms were very, very good on the whole. What they did was, tenured teachers were no longer, infallible. They actually could be challenged if they were not doing the proper job in the classroom. It required, it actually put in on paper what the set requirements were, and it really had a focus that you had to use an instrument that was approved by the state of New Jersey, and a lot of the instruments that were used, whether they be, there's a Charlotte Danielson model, there's a Newark model, there's all different models that you can use, a strong model that actually focuses on student performance, student academics, student growth. And an interesting piece was that student test scores were included as part of an evaluation, right? Well, there are some subjects where, let's say you're a phys ed teacher, right? So a student's English or math scores are not indicative necessarily of how you're teaching physical education. So the idea to do student growth objectives was born, where teachers and their administration would set a goal and the teacher would measure it and work towards it together, right? So be careful what you wish for, because what that led to was a lot of whining about too much paperwork. Oh, it's too hard. It doesn't really matter. Teachers are spending too much time. The teacher set the goal. The administrator set the goal. I found that to be, quite frankly, an asinine argument. I've written hundreds of SGOs along with teachers across multiple school districts. I've scored teachers on SGOs. I've written my own SGOs. So my honest opinion is that's a load of hooey. However, they want to combine now the SGO, the spirit of SGOs, with a professional development plan that's due every year by teachers. But here's the scary part. They put together a little panel, of course, packed with the NJEA and company, that analyzed what they would like to see changed. And some of the more egregious pieces were when you combine it with a professional development plan, there's no necessity to say student outcomes or student growth must be a goal in your professional development plan. So you can have it be anything. You could say, oh, I talked to parents more, I sent more emails, I was in the community more. It can completely omit student growth from an academic standpoint. But the kicker, you want the kicker, you were a teacher just like me. They want to eliminate, right now you are scored either not effective, partially effective, effective, or highly effective. They want to get rid of highly effective, and they just want to say effective. Everybody's effective. No more highly effective, because it just makes teachers feel bad if they don't reach highly effective. They get so upset. I said, what is this, a participation trophy now? My jaw hit the floor.
What a nugget.
Dom,
exactly.
I don't know what these people are smoking, but we all need it, because it's the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard, the most Sally weak thing I'd ever heard in my life. And I don't like it, because, again, teachers who are repeatedly highly effective, they actually have less teacher observations now once they hit tenure. So now are you telling me that we can do less observations when everybody and their brother is, quote, effective? They are watering down.
I see that. That's what they're about. Yeah, Dawn, one thing, too, to clear up without getting into the weeds, too. I'm a big fan of merit pay. I can't imagine doing it in New Jersey with the NJEA. But one of the things we just talked about here with student test scores that people have to understand is it's not so much what the kids in your class score, but it's where they start it and where you take them to at the end of the year. People say all the time, well, what if you have kids that were low achievers and they don't score tremendously on tests? That's the right way to do it. If legitimate figures are there, where they start and where the teacher takes them. That's how we measure you.
That's a very positive change that happened since I've been in the classroom. When I first went in the classroom, proficiency was the be-all, end-all. So the argument was always, well, you do have some teachers, let's say you deal with students with, significant learning disabilities or special needs, perhaps they're English language learners. So it wasn't a level playing field. So New Jersey really did make a shift and started to put a lot of value on growth. And if you can have the students prove academic growth, but again, in typical fashion, now that's too much. Oh, how could we possibly have student growth be included in our scoring?
That's the way to judge. But the high efficiency, I'm writing that one down. I'm going to be using that one for years. Dawn, we haven't talked with you in a while. And the drone situation, have they completely gone away? Or as we kind of predicted, they're going to wait through the holidays or until Trump is in office. Then we're going to get an answer on this. What's happened with the drones?
Let me tell you, they have not reduced in sightings. I still receive videos weekly, if not daily, from people across New Jersey. I have people reaching out to me. One of the more interesting ones that I received is somebody had observed drones and orbs out over the ocean at night, and they were in a very odd pattern. It's very, very troubling when people say they're hovering over what looks like a ship, per se, and that I'm getting more often than not. So we're still seeing them in North Jersey flying in formation and specific patterns, but I am seeing a lot more ocean activity reports. And again, I have videos sent to me, but we are getting shut down. Not a peep out of the governor's office, not a peep federally. It's almost as if they want to dissuade us from even reporting anything anymore because they'll tell us it's an airplane or a convenience store drone or a bird or whatever.
Well, the only good thing out of this, first with the nutbag stuff or the bird feeders, we got to talk with you, then the drones, and now this. You bring those school teacher things like I do to Twitter, et cetera. I mean, it is that report. I still have it, what you wrote about the drone conference there with the governor's representative. I mean, there's no getting around it. We have to bottle you and then put 10 more of you out there in Jersey. So, Dawn, how do you see, we're seeing pretty good signs, and Scott Presler is our guy in Jersey, and behind the scenes, I'm seeing he's meeting already with a number of county chairs. I'm meeting with some people and him on Saturday. So I'm seeing that Republicans are coming alive here. They are inspired. And they do believe it's at least 50-50 that they can take back the State House.
Absolutely. We are excited. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him at our Sussex County GOP holiday party. I didn't realize he was coming, and I guess he was our surprise guest.
Yeah.
And he made a very, very good point because, Sussex is solidly red, as a general rule. But what he was stating is when you look at the total numbers who still are not turning out to vote, you need to mobilize those red areas to get maximum voters out. At that point, we need to get new voters registered in even the red areas because that is going to be what will be able to counteract the existing blue areas still that hang on in the state. So, he had kind of a new messaging, and it was very energizing to hear and see. I mean, he's wonderful on X, where he posts play by play, right? County by county. I'm in Lucerne County. I'm in Bucks County. I'm here. I'm there. It's very exciting when he is that specific, and he's very dynamic. And I think he's just what we needed to get a kick in the pants here in the GOP.
Absolutely. Well, Dawn, thank you so much. Keep us in your loop. Happy New Year again.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
All right, Dawn Fantasia here on Talk Radio 1210. No high efficiency for Jersey teachers. Wow. Look, that was, we were off the mark yesterday on it, going by the best evidence, and she's the one that was able to correct it, that it's more getting rid of these cash cow tests than Jersey teachers not passing tests. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. Coming up, I have more from Mark Zuckerberg today. Kind of surprised by the voice and the look, too. This guy's bulked up. The jiu-jitsu, I guess, must be working. Who was he supposed to fight?
Who's that?
Was that Jake Paul? No, maybe not.
Might be.
Okay, that would be an interesting matchup. Did you think Zuckerberg's voice sounded
Zuckerberg was supposed to fight Elon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would take Zuckerberg in this. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Let's see.
Doughboy Elon.
Yeah, let's see if he'd have Ozempic by then. By the way, it's in the air, so I don't forget this. I'm looking over my Giant app for the discounts this week, and they had a dietitian special, and they're pitching that they have great dietitian services. Giant does. They're pitching, don't use those ordinary seed oil salad dressing. Seed oil. Yeah, I know, but I am going to put the brakes on of Americans wanting to blame everything on big food versus our own fallibilities too. Big food is there, but
we don't have the option to not, obliged by these big food decisions.
Go on the Giant app right now, and you will not use seed oil anymore for your salad dressing. It's right there.
That's not a bad thing.
And Washington Post has a big piece up on the ultra processing. They didn't give credit to Kennedy on this though, saying here are the ones that are at the high end, and here are the ones that are not so bad. So Kennedy's having an effect already. Let's see if I think he's going to get through. I think he's going to get a few Democrat votes. I think Fetterman's going to vote for him. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. I'll tell you who's coming up early next week. The first in line to be confirmed or not confirmed. Who are those Trump people coming up first? One of them's a biggie. 855-839-1210.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
If you want to take a bird flu shot that becomes available, knock yourself out. One thing you have to do, in my opinion, after that pandemic is learn. From every mistake, every error, whether it was that pseudoscience, made-up social distancing that they made up on the fly of 6 feet, the masks that don't work, the vaccine that is not 100% safe and effective. I never want to have to deal with that again in my life. We need to be paying attention to China. Much like the FBI, you can't trust them as far as you can throw. And I'm talking about that government over there, not specifically just Chinese people.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Hi, it's John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, a live call-in show airing every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. on WPHT. What would you do to protect yourself this cold and flu season? Well, medical hydration therapy at Innovative Medical Associates could help to boost your immune system. That's because vitamin C and other key nutrients are delivered intravenously, right to your cells. Medical hydration therapy may even lessen symptoms should you become ill with a virus or suffer with long COVID or post-COVID conditions. Dr. Molly Fantasia at Innovative Medical Associates prescribes a personalized treatment plan for every patient.
We are a medical facility. We treat our IV protocols or our hydration protocols as a medical modality.
Learn more about the benefits of medical hydration therapy at innovativemedicalassociates.com. And be sure to join Dr. Molly and me on Sunday mornings at 8 and again at 4 for Health Watch on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It's Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra at Westchester University and Pittman, New Jersey in February.
It was fabulous. It was the most joyful night I have experienced in a long time.
The Frank Sinatra guy, I really liked him.
His imitation of the Bee Gees.
That's Conklin with City Rhythm and the story of Philly sports through music. Westchester University on February 21st and the Broadway Theater in Pittman, New Jersey on February 22nd. Tickets to a Conklin show make great holiday gifts. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. joeconklin.com!
With so much uncertainty in the world today, you may find yourself wondering, is now even the right time to retire?
So many people are waiting, and those folks are going to be waiting a really long time, I hate to say, because there's no perfect time. The market is always unpredictable and volatile.
Fortunately, Jim Cipriotti has been helping get people to, through, and beyond retirement for over 25 years. Each week, he wants to help give you that freedom to retire. Listen to Freedom to Retire with Jim Cipriotti, Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday afternoons at 5 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Free speech lives here on Odyssey's #1 talk station. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
All right, Tom Giordano show. What a wild press conference with President Trump today. Media for about an hour. No handlers, nothing. No holds barred. A lot of stuff said around that. But Mark Zuckerberg, is the story of the day.
Oh, his brother?
Yeah, we played you him saying we're not going to have the fact checkers anymore, human bias. It's going to be community standards. Here's the second level of what I think this is the third cut in the line now. Here's what else he's going to do with Facebook.
Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower-severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms.
All right. Here's a little bit more. There's more of what they're going to do.
For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive.
All right. Now, Facebook, in fairness to them, they were under fire all the way back to 2016. The Russians are Russians are Russians. Then it was during COVID. And meanwhile, we think with COVID, they went too far in censoring stuff. So the edict here is much different and much more. And I think he admitted in some way, taking a look at the last election where people are. You have one more, Dan?
Yeah, I got one more cut where he tries to take the blame off himself and put it on the government. Take a listen.
Okay.
And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the U.S. government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
Well, I might differ with you a little bit. I think he's right about the Biden administration. We know that's exactly what they were doing with all kinds of threats.
I know, but accept some accountability for the way that you completely, marched to their orders.
I never thought Facebook was as much the issue, though, as was Twitter until Elon Musk. Again, they, got singed for the Russian information. During COVID, they got attacked. I think they're doing the right things here, but I don't think they were nearly as bad as Twitter was. All right, one other bit of stuff that's always fun to talk about. Any kind of food thing before I take your calls. Girl Scout cookie season starts today. Wow, I didn't know it.
Let's go.
Yes, and and I tremble when I read this morning at 5 o'clock. 2 cookies will be retired this year, meaning this is your last year to get to them.
Don't you dare take my Samoans away.
I don't think they're called that anymore, Dan.
Yeah, it's Girl Scout s'mores and toast. I don't even toast ya, which I don't even know.
Oh, yeah, I think those were only around for like a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Thin Mints, to me, is the chocolate chip of Girl Scout cookies. Meaning there should be no, I can't imagine eating any other. If you said, I have that, just bring them out and just take a sleeve and just push your head back and let them go down till you can't eat anymore.
Once I agreed, but then I started getting heartburn, and those things just give me heartburn now.
So you're Samoan?
I'm Samoan, yeah.
Okay.
Soft.
So the Girl Scout cookies.
Wait, the website still has them listed as Samoas.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
All
going
right.
back
Maybe they changed back.
Caramel Delights /Samoas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Phasing it out.
We're so excited to kick off the Girl Scout season, and they do this, I guess, when the cookie's fading a little bit, they get one last bump out of it. But I bet Thin Mints are still the most popular, right? What's second place, though? What's a secondary cookie? What's the oatmeal raisin cookie of Girl Scout cookies? If oatmeal raisins. I can't imagine anyone listening out say, I could go for an oatmeal raisin cookie. What the heck are you thinking of? I just cannot. Now, the biggest thing that happened with Girl Scout cookies, and I didn't go back and Google her. There was a woman, she was a national psychologist or dietitian, whatever she was, went on a tirade and made a lot of news attacking Girl Scouts and Girl Scout cookies because of the hazards. Now, do I think RFK Jr. is going to do a treatise on Girl Scout cookies? I don't think so. I think he gets it. He's just going to go after big food, ultra-processed, dyes, that kind of thing. Girl Scout cookies have to be pretty low on the pecking order here as far as going after people.
I mean, they do kind of taste like preservatives.
Oh, the preservatives. Well, let's talk about this preservative. How are you going to have a product on the market without some preservative in it? I mean, unless you're buying fresh right at that moment.
Well, the Paul brothers launched that knockoff Lunchable, and they had to recall them all because there was less preservatives and a bunch of them rotted out.
That's what's,
So
with some foods, that's going to be pretty tough to deal with. I mean, I don't eat peanut butter crackers anymore because I'm afraid how long they've been in there and the preservative part. I just get it yourself and do it, but you're going to do that for everything. It's going to be fascinating to see exactly what Kennedy says. I don't think the vaccine thing is going to be the point of contention. You're going to have some weasels in these states the agriculture states, and they don't like it that he's going after big ag, big food, and what they're doing with America's food supply. They're the ones that are going to challenge him. All right, let's go to Richard in Westchester. Richard's on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Richard.
Greetings.
Hi.
For the question, I was a 1976 graduate of the Pennsylvania State University, and I loved Joe Paterno. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I went to Penn State for their football team. And the 80s and the 70s and the 90s were great, and Joe Paterno broke my heart completely in 2012. And all that just washed away.
That Richard, that is a great one. I could tell you when I love Joe Paterno, but when they were just an independent in the East, they murdered teams. And then when they moved into the Big Ten or started playing a pretty tough schedule, do you remember a linebacker? Was it LeVar Arrington?
Yes, number 11.
Well, as soon as he went there, I thought, not that he did anything criminal, but that this is where we're going with players. Remember, at one point, they truly did have great students, concert pianists, all that at Penn State. And then Joe was going to continue to win. And it's hard to blame him, but I never thought he'd end up the way that he did.
I mean, Penn State was always on the pedestal of a way an athletic program should be run. And they had that facade up for all those years. And then 2012, he completely shattered it. It was all that work was down the drain.
What's the motivation, though, if they had come clean on Jerry Sandusky and said, we caught him, and that's it? Why would they? What were they thinking they would suffer? Or were they so arrogant, so big at that point, they thought, we'll just tough it out?
Look at the world today. Hubris has brought down so many people. And I define hubris as outrageous arrogance. And basically, you look at all Trudeau, hubris, all these big shots, hubris brought them all down. It brought empires down, and it's bringing them down too, thank goodness.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I would say that's a great one. Joe Paterno, Dan had Stern at a certain point, all good ones. 855-839-1210. Get on board AT&T and Verizon Wireless. All you have to do is just push pound 1210. This will be cut 12. In fact, is this, I see it's kind of dark. YouTube?
We'll have that on YouTube as well, yeah.
Coming up?
Right now. Right now.
Right now? Okay, yeah. Tell people where they can go watch on YouTube, too, if they can get to
youtube.com/@1210WPHT. A fantastic skit. And what I want to point out, Dom, is on this skit, it's like what I wish SNL were. And it's not even that funny. It's just slightly funnier than the other.
Yeah, the guy that's playing Trump doesn't even look remotely like him, but it's such a bad wig, it gets your attention right away.
Mr. President, I must admit I was worried that you were going to try to humiliate me.
I would never embarrass you, Justin. Are you kidding me?
Thank you, Donald.
Now I want to see you eat it.
Excuse me? The hamburger.
The Big Mac, the president of all burgers. I'm going to make you eat it like a dog with no hands.
Mr. President, I have self-respect.
Not so much, to be honest. I mean, he came like a dog, didn't he? He really did.
Mon ami, I come to you not on bended knee, but as an equal.
30% tariff.
My father taught me to
50% tariff.
Okay, we Canadians are a hearty lot.
60% tariff.
For Canada! I'm a hungry little puppy. I'm so hungry for my puppy chow.
All right, that's enough, Justin. I won't impose a tariff. I can't. I'm not even the president yet, am I? What a loser. Now let's DJ.
It's fun to stay at the party.
All right, the Trump guy, really good, even the wig and the whole. I still don't understand the Canadians, how this guy became the president, the leader. It just doesn't fit my image of Canada. But there's a critical mass of people that like it. At some point, we'll play you the guy that might be the new leader. And this guy has a Newt Gingrich quality about him where he eats an apple as he's talking to a reporter. Well, let's play him right now. He's eating an apple, and this reporter, I don't think is that pushy, but he's asking him questions to try to pin him down. Doesn't like it that he's conservative. And the way the guy pushes back is very reminiscent, even more aggressive. Newt Gingrich. Here's how it sounded.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological thing.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, I
don't really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
like who?
I don't know who, but
well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also
talking about? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question is.
Then forget that.
This is a more passive-aggressive Newt Gingrich and Gingrich. And this guy is the odds-on guy to be the next leader. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. You get in. Give me somebody or something that you really looked up to, really disappointed in some way, shape, or form. That's what we're looking for. Hey, looking to achieve your health goals and start New Year's right? Well, now's the time to optimize and support your heart health, cholesterol, digestive health, energy levels, and more with Rescue Natural Supplements with their New Year's savings. Rescue is celebrating you. Save 35% on single bottles of Rescue supplements with code HEALTH. Use the code HEALTH35, HEALTH35. Try the popular Rescue 1250 Omega-3 for heart health, Rescue Probiotic for better digestion, or Rescue Orosine for more energy. Whatever your health goals, Rescue has you covered. To place an order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com, res-q.com. Start your journey to better health today. Use that code HEALTH35. Again, save 35% on all single supplements with the code HEALTH35. Don't wait. Make this new year your best yet with Rescue.
Same thing you need to know. Depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
There's a code blue in effect, and Philadelphia has 20 warming centers open. People who live near the New Year's Day 2023 house explosion in Port Richmond are suing PECO and PGW. And Delaware gets an interim governor. Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long is sworn in for a 2-week term.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Do you think that banking is boring? At PNC, we know that meeting the banking needs of the community is anything but boring. That's why PNC Bank geared up this year and introduced the mobile branch across the region to bring banking services to underserved neighborhoods. And long before that, PNC Community Development Banking was leading the way in investing in the economic health of our neighborhoods. To see the brilliant results that boring banking can deliver for you, stop into any PNC branch right here in the greater Philadelphia community. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet?
Not yet.
Do it today.
Okay.
At 1210 WPHT.
All right, Tom Giordano Show, 855-839-1210. Jeff Van Drew coming up at 2 o'clock. He's the new head of the Oversight Committee of the Judiciary and all that mumbo-jumbo. It's an important post. This guy is right inside where we want him. And Linda Kearns, we didn't get a chance to thank her yesterday on Certification Day for her role in it. She's got something new, too, that she's working on that I'll ask her about. Biden now is in talks for a prisoner swap with the Taliban. Does it ever end? And what he did here with these prisoners at Gitmo, just sending them back to the Middle East, 11 of them. It's stunning to me that we can't somehow or another get thoughtful people together and rather quickly. I realize this is a constitutional matter, but I think the American people would vote 90-10 with some thoughtful restraints on the nonsense that presidents can do toward the tail end of their term. It's not just the pardons, it's the shuffling of people and the stuff that he's doing that are just outright, even for the Bidens, who are just a miserable group. And he's not coming up with all these ideas necessarily. He's just saying, yeah, let's do it. God only knows between now and Election Day. Could it be that far away still? All right, 855-839-1210. You get on board. Got a lot of response, a lot of emails, too. Call in on it, too. This story, J.D. Mullane in the Bucks County Courier-Times today, because there was a $720,000 sale of a Levittown house, breaking records, etc. And he went through, and Dan even looked at some of the real estate that's out there, that you can't touch homes, even some that really need work, by and large, in the $400,000 range, meaning the average person living in the Levittown developments and all that, J.D. Mullane says, could not afford the mortgage, qualify for it, that you would need to get one of those homes today. A lot of reasons, or at least a few big ones, but Biden and inflation's got to be near the top. They say in Bucks County, very hard to get a quality home of any sort unless it's in that price range. Well, how many people are going to be able to afford that? And the answer is they're not. So what are they going to have to keep on doing? A number of them are going to have to keep on renting unless Trump untangles this in some way, shape, or form, say within the first year. Trump talked today a lot about energy. That'll be a key to doing this. And look, he's got to say it. But what Biden put into play on the way out, no drilling in various areas, offshore, et cetera, is not going to be easy. It's going to take a while. And Biden knows that. This miserable little man and his family and his advisors sticking it to middle-class America, making it harder for Trump to generate energy, which will be one of the biggest things that will start us to actually remove the cake on inflation. Not the rate that may go down or has gone down. It's inflation itself, where prices are. Energy is a large measure toward that. Trump also today talked about, again, this guy and his advice, he's signing off on it, whether he's able to do it or not, going after water heaters, gas-powered, essentially, that they have to be electric, they have to meet other standards. Toward what point? So a bunch of people can get a gold star who this doesn't put a dent in their life or their income. Why do this to the average American? Because that's what they're about. That's what they're going to continue to do. And their strategy is going to try to masquerade. They haven't changed. They're not going to change. They don't want to change. Their strategy is going to try to mask all this as long as they can. That's why guys like Josh Shapiro are so dangerous. He's every bit of that ilk, but he's better at masking it. And we talked today a little bit with Beth Ann Rossica about this bill that we've talked about, the Fairness in Sports Act for women in Pennsylvania. The federal government says, Biden even, you can do what you want in this. So why is Pennsylvania continuing to do this? Because they're intransigent. Because this is the one issue they're not going to back down on. And I'm hoping ultimately this will topple them in Pennsylvania. All right, let's go to Chris in Malvern. Chris, you're on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Chris, good afternoon.
Apparently, Ted Turner, it's been reported the last couple of days, he's basically on death's doorstep. And, of course, being the original creator of CNN, they're going to be back in the news big time. And, of course, my heart went cold on CNN a long time ago, especially by the time of President Trump's first election. But during the entire arc of my Army years, starting during the first administration of Ronald Reagan, I revered CNN. I mean, Bernard Shaw and the rest of them, they were without question. And I can think of so many different events like the when the Korean Airlines 007 was shot down. Mm-hmm. And we went on DEFCON. We went on alert for 7 straight days, and we'd get breaks, and we'd come back for information, and it was CNN. And then Tiananmen Square, and then finally, remember the reporting of the Scud attacks during Desert Shield?
Gulf War, they were proud. Yes, and they were the ones who captured international news, without a doubt.
And it just breaks my heart sometimes to think, how I feel about them now.
That's a good one. Thank you, Chris. That was a really passionate call. Somebody in the military around. He's right about CNN at one point. I know it's hard to believe, but yeah, they had international news. They captured international news. And Bernard Shaw ousted, he didn't mean to necessarily, Michael Dukakis, during the presidential debate when he said to him, well, what if your wife and daughter were raped and killed? Would you still not be for the death penalty? And Dukakis, instead of saying, look, I would try to be for the death against the death penalty, but you're right. As a father, as a husband, all that, I deep in my heart would want to kill him myself. He didn't. He just said, no, I still would be against the death penalty. So he's right about CNN. I know it's hard to believe now, but he's right overall. It's a good call. All right, 855-839-1210. That's the side question today. You can get in. By the way, who is it that Will Bunch and other progressives are blaming for the Biden failures? Merrick Garland. They're saying Merrick Garland was too even-handed, did not go after Trump hard enough or early enough or something. My God, if you think Merrick Garland as Attorney General was even-handed, this is what they're reduced to. This is what they're reduced to blaming. Yeah, he let Hunter Biden down, too. My God. All right, 855-839-1210. Get in with Dom on Talk Radio 1210.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dawn Stensland here. My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles feature the latest luxury vehicles from today's top brands. Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, Land Rover, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and more. Sleek new designs and innovative features with thousands of new and certified pre-owned vehicles available across Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. Piazza Premium Automobiles stands out. Visit PiazzaPremiumAutos.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
I'm Jalen Hurst here for Window Nation. If you're a fan of saving money, listen up.
Right now, get 50% off all window styles. Plus, you could get 0 interest and 0 payments for 2 years. Sale ends January 31st, so schedule your consult now at 866-90NATION or at windownation.com. Tell them you heard it on WPHT.
Don't pay more than you have to for new windows. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
It's stand time.
I can handle things. I'm smart. I'm like everybody says.
With Dom.
No, apparently I cannot handle things because it is Dan Time with Dom. We're back in the new year, and Dom, I want to play back some audio from a friend of the show, Bill Maher, who brought on John Cryer. John Cryer, known as Ducky in Pretty in Pink. Yeah, but Two and a Half Men, starring alongside now Ashton Kutcher. Well, recently Ashton Kutcher's been off for like 10 years, but Charlie Sheen as well.
Yeah.
So Ducky sat down with Bill Maher and refuses to accept the reality of the election, Dom, and I want your thoughts onto what it was the determining factor as to how the election was won by the Trump team. Take a listen as Bill Maher and John Cryer get into it a little bit.
But I don't know. Sometimes people say things that trigger me. And of course, we just had the election, and I feel like my conscience is very clear. I warned everybody about Trump, and then I warned them about what would get him reelected, which was stupid wokeness, which is what got him reelected. So I feel my conscience is very clear that I told you, and I told you, and I told you, and I lost fans for it. You know, lots of the super woke that like I'm not woke enough for them. Yeah, but like I think I had it right. Like that kind of stuff is what lost the election for the Democrats. It's in all
maybe part of it.
Oh, you think it sounds good so far, right? I mean, that's a fair assessment by Bill, right? Wokeness
yeah, right.
was a large part of them losing the election.
Cryer saying maybe part of it.
Listen to Cryer's response. Here you go.
Election for the Democrats. It's in all.
Maybe part of it. I don't know. I think a lot.
They have polling on it.
Well. I think it's inflation. I think Americans hate inflation.
That certainly was
They hate
part
inflation,
of it.
they hate riots, and they hate black women.
I'm going to stop it right there, Dom. Ducky thinks that Kamala lost the election because America hates black women.
That's where we're going to go.
Has nothing to do with wokeness. In fact, it's the opposite. We aren't woke enough. Let's continue.
They hate trans people.
Oh, God, John, we're not
Dude,
going to.
they just spent hundreds of millions of dollars demonizing trans people. And that's disgusting.
Here we go.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk politics.
Okay, we shouldn't. We shouldn't.
This is,
Great. We don't have to.
And this, I mean, I have this kind of relationship with people on the right also who like, yeah, it's just going to take so long to even have this discussion. And I want, just like I would like to deprogram them, I feel like there's things that don't get in your bubble on the left that I would love to deprogram, but it's probably not the place to do it.
Yeah.
But,
you can try.
This is a thing you hear often from people on the left, especially progressives, who seem to be unplugged about the whole election, that it wasn't wokeness that won it. They can double down on the wokeness that they really want. DEI, why not continue down that path? It was because America, Dom, is racist and hates trans people.
Yeah, I think they believe that deep down. On the trans issue, $35 million, I was on that early on, effectively used in ads on women against men in sports. And the Kamala Harris, we're going to have gender-affirming care for illegal aliens in prison here, and taxpayers are going to pay for it. Yeah, people are dead set against that. But the first thing he said, I still believe, inflation in the end, people looked at it and said, no more. We're not putting up with this. Trump is going to come back. We have, in the next hour, some sound from Kornacki over at NBC, MSNBC, breaking down how historic it was, Trump reaching African Americans and Hispanics. Now, that can't be explained away. And also, John Fetterman. Look, I think if you just feel you're superior as a conservative to say, well, I'm not going to acknowledge any of this. I'm not buying into John Fetterman. I still don't like him. And I'm not buying into any metamorphosis of John Fetterman. But he is a contrarian to a lot of Democrats. He is, and this is going on right now, he sponsored, the first Democrat sponsor of the Laken-Riley Act in the Senate. They're voting on it today. I'm predicting Madeline Dean, the Dean of Decency, and Mary Gay Scanlon, her partner in crime, will vote against it. What it does is it will ensure detention and deportation of criminal aliens before they can commit heinous crimes like the killing and attempted rape of Laken Riley. And Fetterman sponsored it. So, when someone is doing something that you approve of, what's the loss to acknowledging that? We're not gushing. Would I bring Fetterman on the show? Yes. I'm trying to get him on the show. Now, there might be an eruption there at a certain point. I have to have Dan step in. Well, maybe Henry. I'm not sure. Dan's about his height.
They already turned me down. I mean, we can always try again, but.
Oh, they did? They just said no? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, flat no.
Can I just play one more clip from the Bill Maher interview with John Cryer, Ducky from Pretty in Pink? Dom, they get into immigration, which turns into a conversation about, again, wokeness and the left thoughts, especially on the issue of Muslims in Europe and the way that they treat women. And John Cryer, when Bill Maher goes down the path of how Muslims treat women, how it goes counterintuitive to what is said by the woke crowd about feminism and such, John retorted with this, but Bill Maher has one of the best burns I've heard in a while. Take a listen.
One could argue that that women don't have the freedom to dress where they are in
That's Cryer.
To dress how they want to dress. In many places, they used to get catcalled all the time. They used to.
Used to.
Well,
we're talking about now.
Well,
yeah, a lot of used to happen, but what's going on now in the world? Would you really want to have your wife live in Gaza or any? Place where I mean before
war-torn strip of desert.
Even before the war, where she would have to cover up.
Well, again, that's not. I don't live there. It's not my culture.
And you won't judge it.
I'm not going to judge it. No, but again, this is not
crazy woke to me.
Okay.
That's where it all went off the rails. When we became so tolerant that we tolerate intolerance. I mean, you would never allow something like that to happen in this country. If they proposed a law tomorrow at the LA City Council, women have to cover their face when they go out. I assume you'd be against that.
Well, yes, I would.
It's just fantastic to hear. It's just fantastic to hear.
I would add to that, and I thought, I don't know if Maher would fully agree. I think he would. Yeah, he would agree, but we know him enough to say, look, when you try to say in this country, I support, and I think most people should support, the right of women that are Muslim, one way or another, to cover up whatever they want. But that doesn't stop me from saying, in my view, that diminishes women. That's what it's about. Not by law. They choose to do it. I still have the right to say, yeah, you're diminished by that. It's diminishing you. That's exactly what it's about. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do it. Knock yourself out. But do I think that's feminism? I can't see any way that that's feminism. No way. It's built upon something that's false. All right, coming up, the great Jeff Van Drew is with us to talk a number of things, including a promotion he just got here on Talk Radio 1210.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you recently had an HVAC tech at your home that you think was full of you-know-what, trying to sell you a bunch of stuff that you don't need? Look, if your furnace or heat pump need to be fixed, we'll send one of our technicians out to do one thing: fix it. And if we do think you need a new furnace or heat pump, we'll send out one of our factory-trained teams to install state-of-the-art Trane heating system to keep you warm. Visit us at marvinecans.com. That's marvinekane.com.
Store closing. Turn 7. Liquidators for the country's largest retailers must vacate and liquidate Philadelphia meals immediately at up to 90% off online prices. Our massive loss is your gain. Turn 7. Closing below cost liquidation. Hurry. Turn 7 liquidations.
You know, as they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro's safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
If you're still waiting for a sign, here's another one. At California Psychics, we reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work for us. So we only connect you with the best. That's how we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And right now, new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Dramatic sound effect incoming. Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-656-1551. That's 800-656-1551. 800-656-1551.
On Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
All right, Jeff Van Drew, Congressman Van Drew, got a big promotion. He'll be with us shortly here on the Dom Show. Pope Francis. This guy did not get the memo. Maybe it's in a language that he doesn't speak too well or think too well in, apparently all languages. He has just appointed one of the most virulent clergy, cardinals, that is anti-Trump. That's right, Cardinal Robert McElroy, a vocal critic of President Trump, particularly on immigration, supporter of migrants, says the bio, and LGBT people, considered one of the country's most progressive Catholic leaders to take over in Washington. The appointment, says the Wall Street Journal, signals the Pope's wish for a more liberal U.S. hierarchy and comes 2 weeks before Trump takes office. He's put in Washington to be right there in the belly of the beast, installing one of the country's most progressive Catholic leaders to oversee more than 600,000 faithful around the Capitol. He's been an ally to the Pope. He's from San Diego for nearly a decade. The Pope named him a cardinal in 2022. Now, he's not the guy that said excommunicado. I think that's another guy. I guess he was unavailable. If you were a border agent during the early years of the Trump government, the first term. So it's going to be interesting to see, are Catholics routinely going to hear from this guy when devout Catholic Joe Biden leaves? Amazing stuff. I mean, the reign of Pope Francis, Henry and I have talked about seeing Conclave. I'm not going to give away the ending. I like the film a lot.
They essentially just promoted Stanley Tucci here. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
What's his character?
Well, and Stanley Tucci is not as liberal as this guy is, based upon what I can say. I'm just.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, he's pretty liberal. Yeah. But I don't think. I want to believe he's not as liberal as this guy. This guy's got a long history. I don't know. Tucci wasn't propping up illegal immigrants. Maybe that line was unavailable to him in the movie. All right, let's go to Congressman Jeff Van Drew. Congressman, Happy New Year and congratulations.
Thank you, Dom, and Happy New Year to you and to all your listeners. And hopefully it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a little roller coaster. It's going to be bumpy, but we're going to get good things done.
Absolutely. To that point, Judiciary Committee is one of the prime committees to be on, and you will now be the head of the Oversight Subcommittee. What does the Oversight Subcommittee do?
Well, this is something I've wanted to do for a while. I want to thank Chairman Jordan for working with me on this. I really appreciate him. I enjoy so much working with him. He really is a true patriot and a good American. So this Oversight Committee is, as chairman, I'm going to have purview over the FBI, the DEA, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, the Bureau of Prisons, parts of Homeland Security, and other areas as well, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Not only all those, but that's a good substantive part of it. We're going to do a couple things, Dom. There's two major parts to this. One, dig in and find out what the hell the culture was that allowed so many of the abuses to average, everyday Americans take place. You know, I said this to the Attorney General when we had our hearings in the past in front of the full committee, and I said it to the FBI director. You know, it used to be they were there to protect us from the bad guys. Now we, the good Americans, we need protection from them. It's not going to be that way with the new administration, but I want to find out what, in detail, digging deep, what happened in the past with everything from Russian collusion to the laptop that was supposedly never existed to, you know, if I can, and we'll have to find if it's my purview, exactly the George Soros connection with prosecutors and attorneys general in these various states. And that we're still researching if that's something I would have purview over. I hope I do. But we're really going to dig into this stuff. And the reason we are.
Yeah. I was just going to give you one small request, and maybe it's minor, maybe in some ways, but I think to me it became the face of this when you talk about weaponizing them. The Richmond, and I don't think it just stopped in Richmond branch, putting out that memo, and then they go out and surveil devout Catholics just going to a mass that was in Latin as if they were potential domestic terrorists, taking license numbers, following up on all them. And Christopher Wray would always stonewall you guys, or the Senate at least, and just say, well, that's a private matter. We're not going to bring them in for testimony.
Oh, he did stonewall until we got, and I'm proud of our committee in the House, we got the emails. And it came out of the Richmond field office. And then, even worse, I remember I asked him this specifically. This is etched in my memory. I said, are there other offices?
Yes,
Has this
that's
happened
it.
anywhere? He said, no, only limited to there. Then we got emails, thank God for whistleblowers, that showed it wasn't the only office. that they were planning on doing this nationally. Unbelievable. But it's not just that. It's FISA. We were spying on good Americans only because they had a difference of opinion. That is not allowed in the United States of America. We allow every opinion. So whether you're liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, whatever you are, socialist, libertarian, you are allowed to express yourself in America. And they were going after people that were conservative. You know the stories. I mean, we had links between the banks and the FBI and Facebook. It's all complicated, but it all amounts to one thing. If you were buying religious items, if you were buying guns or ammunition, if you were a member of conservative groups, if you were a traditional Roman Catholic, and some say, I couldn't get him to admit it, and he got angry with me, which led me to believe there's some truth, evangelicals as well. Evangelicals and Roman Catholics are strong in their faith. Others are too, but I mean particularly those two. So that was awful. And here's the deal, Dom. Did we get there? What allows us to fall that much? And how about FISA?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
just again, what happened? How do we allow millions of times good Americans to be investigated by the FBI? 50% of the FBI budget is for this kind of stuff. Let's find out where that money is really going. Now, these aren't the agents on the ground. These aren't the agents in your district offices who are good people doing their job, trying to stop bad guys. Here's the deal. Most Americans believe that the FBI and the Attorney General and the Department of Justice in the aggregate that are going after bad people, organized crime, disorganized crime, drugs, etc. That's good stuff. We need to do that. We need to stop them. Terrorism. But we need to find out why we're going after or had gone after Americans and set up a system in place regardless of whichever party is in power, that this never happens again.
Yes. Well, I knew this was an important position, but this is right there at the belly of the beast of what's going on. So really, they have the perfect guy for it. We're talking with Congressman Jeff Van Drew. Congressman, the last time you were on, you said something that made news with our listeners. They were heartened to hear it, and we're getting only under 2 weeks away, thank God, to the inauguration, about the executive order around wind that would put it on a hiatus and study for 6 months. Maybe listeners didn't hear it at that point. Tell us what's going to happen, you believe.
Well, about a month ago, I spoke with President Trump on this. He said, Jeff, I'm with you. I mean, he kept his word. He said this was something. He said it in Wildwood when we had 107,000 people there. He has said it at various locations. He knows how bad this is. Again, for everybody listening, don't fall into the trap because you think you're a Democrat that you are for wind. Wind is bad for the environment, bad for the fishermen, bad for the ratepayer, bad for national security, makes us beholden to foreign countries. It is the worst deal for America ever. It really is. So, when I spoke to him about a month ago, he said, Jeff, I'm with you. Make me an executive order. So we got right down to it. I've got some good people in my office. One gentleman by the name of Haddon Antonucci, who's worked with me on this wind issue for years, my chief of staff, Allison Murphy. We got an executive order done for him in 48 hours. I then spoke with Doug Burgum, who he instructed me to speak with, who's going to be the new Secretary of Interior, who got it to the landing team in Interior, and having their attorneys review it, make sure that we've crossed every T and dotted every I. They initially like it very much, and it would do exactly what you said. Study the repercussions of this because the leases were not granted properly. When they give leases, like, for example, when you lease out to oil or gas, man, they got to jump through hoops, and they should. They just gave these leases out without, being concerned of the effect on regular people who are affected by this at all. So basically what this executive order would do is look at the effect on the ratepayer, look at the effect on the fishermen, look at the effect on tourism, look at the effect on national security, look at the effect on how we're going to rely on foreign countries for our energy. It's just bad. So they're looking at that now. I'm hoping in January or February that he does that executive order, but he has indicated total support for it. I am going to see him on Saturday about some other issues as well, and this is one that I am going to bring up with him.
Well, tell him listeners really like the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And I personally want to see if he can get me in there to do the first broadcast from Greenland. That would be a plus once we annex Greenland, which I'm starting to think there's a real possibility of that.
Well, you know what? I mean, the Democrats should even like Greenland because it's green.
Yeah.
You know, they always like the new green. This to me is the real Green New Deal, right?
Yeah.
This is the Green New Deal. So, look, you know, he's making a point. The point is and I can't say it if you and I were, you know, just sitting somewhere talking, having dinner at a bar, I would say, what bull, and you could finish the word. Countries like Canada, Trudeau, criticize the United States, beat the United States up, take advantage of the United States, don't maintain your borders. You know, the only reason they exist and they're not prey to foreign invaders is because of the United States. You know, somebody said humorously, and it's true, the state trooper force in Rhode Island could whip Canada's military. I mean, they have no basic military. No wonder they can afford to spend money on other stuff, and they still have because of socialist policies, super high inflation, high cost of living, all kinds of problems there economically and otherwise. And now finally, the left is very unpopular. People get it. There's repercussions to the way you vote. And when you vote for these people, they're going to make your life harder. And they have. But his point is this. Look, if you're a good country and you're saying, we appreciate the United States, we're with you shoulder to shoulder, the way Israel is, he's not going to say that. He's not going to do that. But he's making a point. Hey, you know, we just give you money, you bleed the United States, and then you expect us to take all your crap. And I hate to use that word, but it is what it is. And just, you know, you're allowed to do that. That's weak. And we're not weak. We're America. We're strong and we lead.
Now, I think this is the first conversation with you in the new year. Dan and I hadn't seen you until last year at Mulligan's with the Scotch, and we were amazed at the transformation. Are you doing something new for the new year, or are you keeping the same exercise that resulted in that?
So for those that are listening that care, I don't know how many really do, for decades of my life, I've always worked out really hard. I do a lot of body weight exercises, crazy numbers of them. And they, you know, you get a little older like me, they don't hurt you. So I do literally, no exaggeration, and, you know, 2-hour workout when I get up really early. I will do thousands of push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, dips. And then every day I will do 4 to 5 miles on the elliptical and for about an hour. And I always did that. And then I got in Congress, and I kidded myself, I don't take the elevators, which I generally don't. I'll walk around the halls, and that'll be good enough because I'm so damn busy. And after a few years, man, I felt slow and lethargic. It's not who I am. I'm not a big guy, but I try to keep really active and move, and that I can do. So I went back to that routine. It was one of my major New Year's resolutions. Another one was, which I've done pretty well on, still not good enough because of my schedule, is to make mass more often. I was getting really bad with that. I've gotten better. I want to get better yet, because at the end of the day, guess what? We're all traveling that road, you know?
Exactly right.
So for me, that was important. And I had a bunch of other things as well. This year, I have less because I had like 10 last year. But my major resolutions were not to sweat the little things. I can get, Dom, I'm so unbelievably aggravated about things that sometimes end up being inconsequential. I want everything to be right. I want it to be a certain way. And sometimes, especially in this business, it just doesn't work out that way. So I kind of made a resolution, give it your best. And that's part of my resolution. Always break your back, man. Do everything you can. Give it 1,001%. And if it works out, great. And that's good. And if it doesn't, maybe try again. But don't get mad at others. Don't get mad at yourself. Just push harder. So kind of to let it go once in a while, you know?
Good resolution. Well, congratulations again. We look forward to talking in the new year. This is heavy-duty stuff. They got the right guy, without a doubt, you and Jim Jordan there. So thank you, Congressman, very much.
Tom, I always appreciate you. I appreciate you getting the word out. Real quick, did you make any New Year's resolutions?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I did. I'm back in the gym 4 days a week, Dan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You working out with Congressman?
Well, no, I couldn't keep up with that. Now, when we see him at Mulligan's, I hope to.
Can we organize a physical fitness test between the two of you?
Well, how about if you participate, Dan? We'll take the first guy coming down the street.
I will not participate.
Oh, man.
Danny,
a push-up contest. He'll do 200 push-ups. Come on. How many push-ups are you doing that? Yeah.
You know what? No matter what, it's just a matter of moving. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to do the push-ups, pull-ups, and all. Yeah, I mean, it's good to do.
Right.
I love doing them. But you know what? If it's just a matter of, gee, I'm going to skip the elevator. I'm going to.
Yes.
It's amazing if you read up on this, how much those little things really can help. Take a walk after dinner. If you got a dog, those types of things. Whatever it is, just to keep moving a little bit. So sounds good.
Thank you, Congressman. We'll see you at Mulligan's this year, and I'm getting ready. Oh man, Can you throw a football 40 yards though?
Man, I threw the football with my 8-year-old grandson. And I do okay, but 40 yards, I'm not so sure, So
we'll get working on that one, too.
Can you?
Of course.
Well, yeah, that's one of the claims that he always makes is a 40-yard football throw. Jordan Mailata just had a catch with Wayne Johnson and couldn't make it 40 yards. So Dom thinks he's...
Dan, have you seen him throw it 40 yards?
No. It's just baseless claims, Congressman.
We did have a contest. It was close.
We'll make it to Mulligan's, make it to the beach, and see him throw it 40 yards on the beach. We'll measure it out.
All right, you got it. I just want the wind to be right that day. Thank you, Congressman, very much. Let's work on the wind schedule down there at Mulligan's. Oh, it's going to be a great summer, though. Don't miss any. By the way, don't miss us at the NAC. Nick Cale, Dawn, and I all broadcasting from the NAC. If you're not going to Washington, it's the place to be. Newtown Athletic Center on Inauguration Day, particularly at the moment that Trump sworn in for the second term, and your chance to talk about it on the air as it goes on. In 2016, it was enormous, the response. So get there early, stay, there'll be food, drink, etc. Thank you to Jim Worthington for that. All right. We'll have to revive that. Henry, you can throw it 40 yards, right?
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think I can.
I don't think you're going to beat Dan, though. I got to give Dan credit.
Oh, really?
I think he had flip-flops on. We're in the middle of a street, and he just threw it, I'd say 44 to 46 yards at least.
Just bomb it.
Yeah.
I think the ball explodes out of my hands like Josh Allen, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll see how.
We did have a ringer. There was a ringer from the former mayor who threw it. He hit a car and it went off. We had to get out of there. Yeah. It was close to 60 yards.
That sounds like something I would do, hit a car.
Yeah. Rumor maybe Ron Jaworski might turn over this time and participate. He threw it 88 when he tried out. All right, right now.
I still do that.
Right.
It's the Money Melody.
Where's all the money gone?
That is right. And today we're playing for a pair of tickets to the Philadelphia Auto Show at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, January 11th to 20th. For tickets and more information, visit PhillyAutoShow.com.
Yeah, Dom, today's Money Melody has to do with the side question again.
Okay.
So obviously today we're talking about that all-time heartbreak. Who broke your heart?
This person broke your heart?
Obviously, there's a lot of songs about heartbreak.
Okay.
And I took a very famous one, You're So Vain by Carly Simon. Very famous tune. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. But I'm going to do a cover version of it.
Okay.
So I want to know which 90s singer, we'll say, is covering this song.
To the party, like you were walking into a yacht. Your hat strategically dipped below one eye. Your scarf, it was apricot. You had one eye in the mirror as you watched yourself go by.
Henry, you can pick a better one?
I think it has to be a female singer, too. I'm not sure.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, once you hear it and you know that it's iconic, okay, but...
well, to that point, I mean, this guy was kind of ahead of his time.
That's what I'm getting a sense of here. Yeah.
What are you giving things away for?
All right, so
I kept it vague on purpose.
Hit us with that, and you're off to the auto show. Here's how you do it, 855-839-1210, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. All you have to do, push pound 1210.
You had me so
Your weeknights are getting a whole lot better. With Jimmy Fallon, 7 to 10 p.m.
Back when I was a cab driver, trying to make my way in comedy and find some entree into television and radio and everything in between, I was writing articles, mocking sports culture and cancel culture and things like that. And they had booked me an interview on WPHT. They were the very first radio station to ever book me as a guest. We had a lot of laughs. So to be sitting here, 8 or 9 years later as a host in your lineup is obviously a really big deal to me personally.
Jimmy Fallon, now weeknights, 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Attention Medicaid patients.
If you're on Medicaid, how would you like if your caretaker was your daughter, your son, your grandchild, or your close friend? If you're on Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care, and that caregiver will get paid instantly after their shift. Yes, your caregiver will get paid instantly, and it's 100% free to you if you are on Medicaid. Call 267-692-3782 and ask Freedom Care how to get started with care today. No more worrying about getting care from an aide at an agency. Freedom Care helps you choose who you want to take care of you, and that person gets paid. Call Freedom Care at 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782 to get started today. You get a caregiver you know and trust, and they get paid instantly after their shift, and it's free to you. Start now by calling 267-692-3782, 267-692-3782, or go to freedomcare.com.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
It's the Money Melody.
Where has all the money gone?
Show me the money. Yes, that's right. Let's hear the clue again. A cover of You're So Vain. Who's doing this? Yes, this is pretty bad, even though. let's go to Michael and Abington.
Sounds like Bruce Springsteen.
All right, Michael, who's covering that song?
It sounds like Marilyn Manson.
Yes, you are correct. And Michael, the comments during the break between us, Marilyn Manson, precursor to everything that we see today, right?
Well, you take everything that was controversial.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
1995, Marilyn Manson, controversial for everything, and then you look at 2025, and the guy would kind of fit right in with the internet crowd.
Exactly right. Good ear, Michael. I'll put you on hold, and we will get those tickets off to you. By the way, Bondi, Rollins, and Zeldin are set for confirmation hearings next week. Don't think any of them is going to have trouble. Bondi, maybe a little bit of back and forth. And the Senate Armed Services Committee announced it will host Pete Hegseth on January 14th. These guys can't start on Monday. I'll have to get in on Tuesday. And Grassley will do Pam Bondi's hearing the same day. Okay? Kash Patel... let's see. We're not seeing when he's going to be announced yet. That's the biggie. That and RFK Jr. that I'm looking forward to. But we'll have full coverage on that. All right, you get in at 855-839-1210. Today, looking for something. All this coming off the Ray Dininger thing. Somebody or something that really disappointed you, broke your heart, in other words, is what we're looking for. By the way, a lot of reaction to President Trump today. Might be the side question tomorrow. I'm working it up in my mind. Yeah, why couldn't we rename the Gulf of Mexico, which principally seems to be involved with a lot of U.S. territory, the Gulf of America? Why do that? Why go through all that's what the other side's going to say. Well, why not? It's going to cost money. That's not. They object to anything like this. It's bold. And I'm not sure if Trump is going to be able to get Congress to go back and rename Fort Bragg from Fort Liberty due to all the nonsense that's happened. Why would
Well, if they
you
sell
not
to
rename
liberals
it?
as it's being honoring Alvin Bragg, then maybe they can get it passed.
Yeah,
you know?
but you were sitting on that one for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how much renaming goes on. Dan, what else do we have from the Trump press conference today?
Yeah, Dom, going through it. Do you want the audio of the Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah, let's hear him say that. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, let me say. I thought I had that queued up, but I guess I do not. I switched off there. I apologize, Dom. First off, I have Trump talking about the 620 million acres of offshore drilling.
Yes.
Take a listen.
Say we manufacture, we don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. We're going to have more of it, too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore drilling. Nobody else does that. And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one. We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts, but if we do have to go to the courts, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you. Because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing. Absolutely.
Okay, let's stop that one. We'll play the Gulf of Mexico. A point on this. It's not going to be easy from what I'm told. Look, Trump's got to say it's part of their persona and the whole thing. Day one, Biden has laid something here that's going to be fought out in the courts. It's going to take a while. And it's just another example of Dr. Jill Biden, and the whole crowd around him pulling the strings, how much they want to just continue to inflict damage on the everyday American. And I want to play this, Dan, cut 15. I may stop it at some point here. It's Joe Scarborough today saying, how in the world are we not recognizing how good the Biden presidency has been?
For the first time, Willie, since George W. Bush's inauguration, no American troops were at war.
All right, stop it right there. Not to you clown, but to this clown. That's not due to it. Look at the pullout in Afghanistan. Look at the carnage. Look at what has resulted in damage to the average American. So move on, Joe. Give us another.
Inauguration day. Murders way down.
Oh, God.
Illegal immigration fallen below where it was when Donald Trump left office.
Not true. Not true.
Stop.
Stop it right there. Not true. All right, continue.
And finished at their best 2 years and a quarter century and are at record highs. Jobs are up. Wages are rising. The economy is growing as quickly as it did during Trump's presidency.
Okay, now that's the end. Let's stop it right there. I wanted to make this point for the millionth time. How often did people like this, he and the wife, who are living the good life, to just absolute morons who are probably worth $30 to $40 million net worth between the two of them some way or another. And the average American and what this family did, and these historians and the Michael Beschloss and all these people talking to Biden because of inflation, making Americans have to make all these choices that they shouldn't have to make. We just talked about the housing in Levittown, people trying to get a home, still wanting to tell us how good the economy is. Well, what metric would you like to use? If I say inflation, they say, oh, well, look, inflation's down. And they actually have made themselves believe it. It's the rate of inflation. And by the way, it goes back up and down. It hasn't been steady. We're talking about baked-in inflation. And here Biden wants to hamstring Trump from the number one thing, and Trump gets this, that will help us break through on inflation, energy sources, cheap energy sources, going back to that. How many times did Americans hear that? Why are you complaining about the economy? The economy is great. And we would answer that. We'd go round and round with it. But hey, it's got to feel good after the election. All right, coming up. Yesterday was the day that we certified the second Trump term. And we happened to have on Scott Presler. And we also had on Michael Whatley, two of the key players. It's just by happenstance. And we thought, yeah, we got to get Linda Kearns on here. And Dan has some sound of Trump saying we must ensure vote counting in elections finishes at 10 p.m. on election night.
One of the things we're going to do is we've got to fix the election so that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts. They have places where they're still counting votes.
Well, we'll find out. Is Linda Kearns going to be able to have that election count? See, I don't want it to happen, Dan, that early. I mean, we got a business here. We got radio. That was one of our biggest spectaculars. I don't want it to go to 3 in the morning. I'll settle for midnight or 1 o'clock. You know, a little tension here. Linda Kearns, is she actually working on making it 10 p.m. that it's over? All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210.
Weather sponsored by the Piazza Auto Group.
An Arctic air mass will remain in place for the next several days. It'll be partly sunny and windy. Watch out for some blowing and drifting of snow. High up around 33, but wind chill values down into the single digits. It stays windy tonight, mostly clear, low 22 for the city, but feeling colder with the wind. And for Wednesday, partly sunny, still very cold, with a high 33.
Purchase the all-new Acura ZDX with an incredible 0% financing for 72 months, plus complimentary charging bundles. Visit Piazza Acura of Ardmore, Reading, or Westchester, or shop piazzaacura.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Upgrade your bathroom with Emmons Remodeling.
We offer custom design, build, renovation services to fit your style and budget. Our designers work closely with you to create the perfect space for you and your family.
Experience luxury and functionality with the expert team at Emmons.
So call us at 856-885-6677. Again, that's 856-885-6677, or visit us at callemmons.com. From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
It's Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra at Westchester University and Pittman, New Jersey in February.
Alan Iverson, Joel Embiid.
My dad set this up. This was actually a Christmas gift to bring us all together, come see Joe and relive all the Philadelphia history. It's amazing.
That's Conklin with City Rhythm and the story of Philly sports through music. Westchester University on February 21st and the Broadway Theater in Pittman, New Jersey on February 22nd. Tickets to a Conklin show make great holiday gifts. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. joeconklin.com!
Tune in to Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Phil Cannella and Joanne Small. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210.
Hey, this is Jimmy Fallon in the house, and dig this, folks. This is not a drill. It's the real thing. You can now join me weeknights from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT or anywhere on the free Odyssey app.
You're a heartbreaker.
You're a heartbreaker playing with fire.
All right. So we had to do that, of course. It's part of the deal. We all have to go through this. That means Linda Kearns is with us here on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Linda, welcome in. And yesterday we had on some of the people that won this for everyone. And we wanted to not forget you on certification day. We were fully booked, though. We wanted to do that today. So thank you again and again.
I appreciate that, Tom. But were you making fun of and rolling your eyes at my love of Elvis? Is that what was just happening? Because tomorrow is the most important day of the year. Yesterday wasn't that important. Tomorrow is Elvis's birthday. So what are you doing to celebrate that?
We may have to do some kind of side question around that. I don't know. I've always liked the hair. I'd like to have hair like that. Dan, and we'll have to put that into the milieu there. So, Linda, before we get to something you're working on, Dan found this clip of the president today. We just played it saying, yeah, we're going to ensure vote counting by 10 p.m. on election night. Are you working on that?
Right. So obviously, I agree in principle with that. Absolutely. It's the execution of that is going to take some forethought. If people may not remember, but when Biden first took office, he and Congress, they were talking about taking over elections, federalizing elections, centralizing elections with the federal government. And we as conservatives were saying, no, you cannot do that. That is not the way we design elections. We leave these decisions to the states. So we do have to be careful with whatever election reform that we're coming up with while Trump is in office, that we don't do the exact opposite of what good election integrity is, which would be federalizing elections and centralizing it too much in the federal government. Because, Dom, like, for instance, in here in Pennsylvania, if there was some type of federal law that says all counting has to be done by 10 p.m., the only way really to get that done, if we still have mail balloting, would be to start counting ahead of time. But before we count those ballots ahead of time, we have to make sure we have systems in place that people cannot vote by mail and then vote on the machine. And while we do have some of those systems in place, it's not as perfect as I would like it. So the last thing I want is to start counting ahead of time before we have those safeguards. And remember, Dom, we have 67 counties. If we don't have some type of uniformity and accountability as to when that pre-counting is going to start, I can't imagine how I would be able to get watchers. It was difficult enough to schedule watchers, knowing that they were all going to start on election day. But to think if I had to schedule watchers for 67 counties, not knowing when they're going to start counting, if some of them start a week ahead of time, if some of them start 5 days ahead of time, if some of them start at 9 a.m. So there's a lot of detail that has to be ironed out. But that's President Trump. He comes up with the big ideas, and then people like me execute them.
Well, I don't see the need, though. I hate to object, but the 10 p.m., yeah, that's, I'm okay if it's midnight, 1 in the morning, just not the drawn-out type of stuff. And we seem to achieve it pretty well this time across the board due to your efforts and others. So, Linda, what are you working on at this point?
So if you remember, I spent a lot of time on your show and a lot of radio stations all across the Commonwealth recruiting people to be both poll watchers and poll workers. And the poll workers are the people that are sitting there when you go in to vote, that they check you in, they make sure you're in the book, you sign the book, they set up the machine for you. And in Pennsylvania, what a lot of people don't realize is those are elected positions. We vote for them, and we're going to vote for them this year. And that's part of the problem with not taking care of election integrity every single year, is that if we don't, as Republicans, have people on the ballot and have them voted in this year, then my job is much harder in a presidential year in 2028, because I'm trying to get people appointed, I'm trying to recruit people, I'm trying to put poll watchers where I know I don't have poll workers. So you can actually file to run for it to be a judge of election, majority inspector, minority inspector in your election district, and that's this year. And you have to get 5 signatures, and that opens the signature period opens up on February 18th. So we're going to see if we can recruit some people to actually run and be on the ballot and then be at every election between now and 2028, so that by the time 2028 rolls around, we have people who are really invested, who have been working these elections, who know everybody. So that's what we're working on now.
That is great stuff. The incrementalism of this way in advance, certainly. So, Linda, all things being equal, then, I think you'll be our first guest the first hour when we're broadcasting from the NAC, as we did before. But this one, you'll be there along with, we think, hundreds of listeners. In 2016, it was like that when Trump takes the oath of office.
Happy to do it. You know, I am working on the inauguration committee right now. I mean, I'm a lawyer, so I'm not actually planning the party, so I'm reviewing all the contracts and so forth. So it's really an interesting process, and I think citizens should be aware how much goes into one of these inaugurations. I mean, it's planning a huge event that really goes over a few days, because there's events, you know, that Saturday and Sunday and Monday. So it's a lot to plan.
Well, I commend you.
You
won't be there for the parties. You'll be with us, which is a better party and better company, and we promise maybe some mentions of Elvis.
Well, I did go to the inauguration in 2016, and it was a great experience. And this year, there's going to be a big lawyer luncheon the day before from the Republican National Lawyers Association to honor all the lawyers who participated. But then I'm going to come back to Philadelphia. So, yes, I am happy to be there to talk to you guys about the inauguration. And I think we'll be a little bit warmer than the people who are actually at the inauguration. We'll be inside. We won't be out in the elements. So I think that's going to be a great day.
One question for you. I put this poll up yesterday. I have the results, and sadly, it's a sign of the apocalypse. Each year, I ask this with the first snowfall. Many years, it's been 80%. It's down to the final was 68.9%. Said if you dig out a space in Philadelphia, wherever you are, Linda, then you deserve to keep that space. Henry says only if you put an object in there to protect it. Dan, Bill Baggins said he's not Philadelphia. What can you expect, Tom? What are you going to expect with Dan? Roasted you on Twitter yesterday. And I told him, come on now. That's not right, right? So Dan's listening to something.
My feeling on that as a Philadelphian is, first of all, I'm a lawyer, and no, that those spaces are on the street are community spaces. You should not be able to preserve them. However, I'm also a realist, and I know that if I tried to pull my car in a space where someone had put a chair or some other marker, I'd probably get a brick through it. So I don't think I would try
that's not
it.
the
Even
way
if
it
I
should
do
be,
think
though,
I should
Linda. That's the entire point. That's the reality of what it is. But no, it shouldn't be that way.
Of course it should. It's America. Wait a minute. This election was about this. About
Linda, as an attorney, let me ask you: if I go mow the lawn of a vacant lot that's for sale, do I automatically own the vacant lot?
No. And Dan, I'm with you. I said I don't think you should be able to preserve a public space like that. I absolutely don't think that. However, I'm a realist, and I wouldn't pull into someone's space who had preserved it, because I know how Philadelphians are.
Okay, that's fair.
Not to speak poorly of my fellow Philadelphians, but I am and frankly, and I know that, I think I saw in Philadelphia Magazine they're claiming crime is down, but I'm afraid to park my car in the street, because it just seems like there's just tons of petty theft. You end up getting it scratched or someone breaking into it. So, we really have a lot to work on in Philadelphia.
We'll take care of you.
Exactly. That's terrible.
All right, well, Linda, thank you again for everything, and we'll relive everything on Inauguration Day at the NAC.
I can't wait. And if anyone is interested in participating in elections, still go to protectthevote.com. When you go to protectthevote.com, just go to Pennsylvania. You can sign up to be a volunteer. It still says 2024 in there, but I'm going to have the computer people fix that. And we are recruiting people. We want to see people involved in every election. We have elections in Pennsylvania twice a year, every year. We don't just have them in presidential years.
Thank you, Linda. See you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, Linda Kearns here on Talk Radio 1210. It's a lightning round next. And don't forget, get there early. We'll be broadcasting Nick's show, Dawn's show, my show, up until 3 o'clock. And when President Trump takes the oath, I know in 2016 we were at Chicky and Pete's. It was a magical moment. You want to be there. You want to be heard. I'm sure there'll be other things that go on, too. Newtown Athletic Club, right there in Bucks County, thanks to Jim Worthington. Lightning round next. Who broke your heart on Talk Radio 1210?
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, the voice of the people.
First thing I want to say is a shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
You guys make my morning every morning. I voted Trump, my whole family. I obligate my whole family to vote Trump. I am so excited. Like, tears are coming out of my eyes. Like, it's a real thing. I love America. I love this country.
From South Jersey to Delco, from Bucks to Montco, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, we are the voice of the people. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Do you have a property that you no longer want? Maybe you inherited the property. Maybe you're underwater in the property. Or maybe you're just a tired landlord, tired of dealing with tenants. Listen, I can buy those properties, and I'll buy those properties fast. I can close in 2 weeks. I buy properties cash. My name is Larry Steinhaus. Give me a call at 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137, and I will personally answer the call. You can also visit easyOutRealEstate.com. Hey, this is Larry Steinhaus from Investor Schooling. Did you know I have a radio show every Saturday from 1 to 3? It's called The Larry Steinhaus Show, and it's sponsored by Investor Schooling. On this show, you will learn things about finances and things about money that you never knew before. But even more of a reason to listen to this show is how much fun we have. If you haven't heard the banter between me, Omri, and Dr. Deb, you haven't heard the greatest show on earth. Listen to this show this Saturday at 1 o'clock right here on WPHT, and I promise you will learn something.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
You know, as they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro's safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Hey, this is Jimmy Fallon in the house, and dig this, folks. This is not a drill. It's the real thing. You can now join me weeknights from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT or anywhere on the free Odyssey app.
The time has come for the final test.
We usually call it the lightning round.
All right, it is Dom time. Who broke your heart in a big way? Disappointment, that kind of thing. That's what we're looking for. Let's go to Joe in Westchester. All right, Joe, what's your answer today?
I am Joe in Westchester, you called?
Yes, Joe. What's your answer?
Yeah. My answer was the FBI, and I'm sitting on a sofa with a blanket from a family friend who works for the Department of Justice and the FBI briefly, not as an agent. Just,
Okay, thank you, Joe. All right, yeah, it is personal. The FBI, pretty good very good reputation. Dwayne's got a good one.
Something just happened behind the scenes here, Dom. Bruce in the Northeast called us.
Okay.
And we haven't heard from him in a long time. Remember we were wondering if he's okay?
Yeah.
And then Henry answers it, and just silence. And
Dang phones.
There's no one there. I think he's calling back, so we might hear from Bruce in some point.
Oh, good. Dwayne in Valley Forge. Hey, Dwayne, afternoon. What do you have today?
Hi, Dom. She was a featured guest in a speaker series, 1210 speaker series in my neighborhood at the Colonial Theater. Bright, young, conservative author. I thought the world of her. But she broke all of our hearts when she stepped Rich and John and the entire Zeoli army by not showing up at a speaker event in Berkeley, California.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Well, and she also wrote these wonderful things about Trump and then turned virulently anti-Trump. Joe in Bordentown. Joe, what do you have?
Happy New Year, Dom.
Happy New Year,
and
Joe.
Henry.
Thank you.
My soul-wrenching disappointment was the collapse of the 1964 Phillies.
Yeah, it was shocking, and Gene Mock didn't have any formula out of it. Thank you, Joe. That's a good one. Joe in Columbus next. Hi, Joe. What do you have?
Good afternoon. I think me and Joe from Bordentown are brothers from another mother. We grew up and we were born the same. little hanging ghetto, but we never met each other. And he's something else. I got to tell him that. My side question answer is everybody's sweetheart with Arnold Palmer and the Hertz commercials. He broke our heart overnight, and that was O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, people that say, oh, they knew, they always suspected, that's ridiculous. It was shocking, if you remember, Joe, for 3 or 4 days that when they started to say, well, they always think of the husband first, they think of O.J. We were like, what, are you kidding me?
And Hollywood crafted him, Dom.
Yeah.
They really did. They protected him. He was a kind of a gangbanger in junior college before he went to USC, in the streets of L.A. They eradicated that whole part of his past, and they made him everybody's sweetheart.
That's a good one. That is a real good one. The Earl of Tacony. Earl, what do you have?
My answer is going to be Mitt Romney. Mittens. He was supposed to be Donald Trump. I mean, you remember when he was running for office? Oh, he's a rich guy. He goes and he buys companies and he fires people and he makes these companies more efficient. And, he lost to Obama. And then all of a sudden, Trump comes in doing the Mitt Romney playbook. And all of a sudden, Mitt Romney's like, oh, this is a bad thing. And it's like, well, wait, this is everything that you were running for. The reason I voted for Mitt Romney is because Mitt Romney was going to do the exact same stuff that Trump ended up doing in the future.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising. Wait, there's bad blood personally, but still, overall, the get even with him, the impeachment and everything else. Yeah, Mitt Romney definitely qualifies. Our last hitter, Joe in Exton on Talk Radio 1210. All right, Joe, who do you have today?
Yes, hello, Dom. Good afternoon.
Joe.
My disappointment is in the person of George Soros. Soros is a native of Hungary who experienced fascistic dictators. Soros then flees Hungary and finds refuge in America, which allows him to use his financial genius to acquire great wealth. Then, rather than showing gratitude to the country that gave him shelter, Soros uses his wealth to support left-wing policies that are detrimental to America.
Thank you, Joe. All right, nice list here, particularly at the end. Who broke your heart?
Are you ever in love with George Soros? That's what I was going to ask.
Henry, who is it that you liked out of all this?
Yeah, the answer that stuck out to me today was Chris and Malvern's answer of CNN. I remember growing up thinking like CNN was like the standard of news, and he detailed his time, serving overseas and like watching that coverage.
Very passionate call.
Yeah,
yes.
and then like what's happened to them? I don't. It's hard to believe. It's hard to
fathom. Well, they owned international news because they were 24/7, without a doubt. Dan, what do you say?
I was actually going to say CNN myself. I really like that answer. But also, I think O.J. Simpson, Joe in Columbus, had a really good call there. 1964 Phillies from Joe in Bordentown. And then a third Joe, a lot of Joes, Joe in Westchester with the FBI as well.
Yeah, I think I love the call, the CNN call. And it does take you back. CNN was not always like this. I mean, I'm sure it was always vaguely liberal, but it was newsy.
Well, you got to think, CNN was the first 24-hour news network, war coverage.
Exactly.
And a lot of what they did was revolutionary before the bias set in. And I don't know, it's okay to remember when CNN once had great coverage overseas and all of it.
And the fact that he was serving with this and checking in on it, it was a great call. So, Chris and Malvern, your name goes into the hat. Good one today. Maybe renaming tomorrow to take us out. Dan, do you have Trump? Is it isolated just saying, why can't we name it the Gulf of America? Or is it still in that long thing? Yeah.
Going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Woo! All right, there you go. And Marjorie Taylor Greene just dropped the bill I was reading a moment ago to do that. They're going to say, why do we have to do that? Oh, you jingoistic people, No, it's the right thing to do. Yeah, Lee Greenwood will be there when they pull off the big banner that says Gulf of America. All right, great stuff today. Richie always next. Join us tomorrow, noon until 3. Sing it, Lee. Follow on Twitter, at Dom Show 1210. All that happening each and every day with the side question and everything else. Quite a news conference today with President Trump. And great news with Jeff Van Drew. You're listening to Dom Giordano here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Something amazing is happening in meteorology. Climate researchers are weathering a data storm.